Come with me if you want to live.
Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
This is it. Don't get scared.
Welcome back to a brand new Flick Pick live show. This is it. And you are going to have dinosaurs on your dinosaur live show? Yes, I am. And we're going to talk all about the brand new Jurassic World Rebirth movie in a few seconds. And it's been a very, very busy week. This might just be the busiest movie watching week I've ever had in my entire life. And that's really saying something. Over the course of the last week, the last 5 days, I have driven over 800 miles to see early screenings of Jurassic World Rebirth, F1 starring Brad Pitt going fast in a race car, and 28 weeks later. I didn't have to go very far for that one, but I did see it this week. And just in a few days, I will have dedicated reviews over on the Flick Pick channel, along with a few Flick Trip videos. One I think you'll really enjoy. I'm trying something new with Flick Trip videos, so look out for those. And how are you guys doing? It's Friday night. The feeling is right. And with all that said, I'm feeling extra trashy tonight. And I think I'm going to crack open a Diet Mountain Dew. Every time I talk about dinosaurs, for some reason, I have to drink a nostalgic Mountain Dew. Nothing reminds me of the mid-1990s more than this green abomination of liquid that tastes like battery acid and corn syrup more. So, all right. Thank you guys for joining me once again. It's nice to see you guys, and there's so much to talk about. So, what do you say we just dive into the main topic? And the main topic tonight, before we get into your questions, and if you have any great questions, or any questions at all, any juicy questions, submit those right now, and we'll get to them right after the main topics. And also, I have some new Blu-rays to show you and stuff like that. And we will be doing a giveaway of a JAWS 4K Blu-ray. So stick around. It's going to be a good live show, or at least I hope it will be. Okay. The first main topic is I want to talk about Jurassic World Rebirth. And, all right. So, today, something cool kind of happened. Variety, a legitimate news source, unlike myself, they shared a tweet I put out about my first reaction to Jurassic World Rebirth. And I did want to cover some other people's reactions and give you guys a well-rounded perspective on the film before I tell you what I really think. And keep in mind, the embargo does not lift until June 30th, so I can't give you an actual review with a rating, but I can give you my thoughts, okay? All right, so let's dive into it here. The title of this says, Jurassic World Rebirth. First reactions range from roaring triumph to blah. Is it a winner or just a string of forgettable scenes? I feel like did I leave the quote that said string of forgettable scenes? Maybe I did. All right, we'll get into it though. We had one here from Jazzy who says, it's a roaring triumph, perfect entry into the franchise, loved all the new dinosaurs, and boy, are some scary. Get ready to fall in love with Dolores, loved it, and what a beautiful homage, sorry, I can't read, to the original. We're gonna disagree with this momentarily, but I want to cover all the positives. Jurassic World Rebirth is a winner. Gareth Edwards knew how to bring a Jurassic story to the screen. I adore the practical movie magic of the original film. Over the years, the franchise has embraced more CGI. Rebirth is indeed loaded with effects, heavy set pieces, but those blah, blah, blah. Okay, here's mine right here. And by the way, you guys should follow me on X if you want. You don't have to, but please do. I'll open up the larger one here so I can get it all in. Jurassic World Rebirth had a solid concept. Mutated dinosaurs on a new island. I was intrigued, but the movie just feels blah. It's a string of forgettable scenes that go nowhere. One river sequence stood out, but the rest blurs together. The characters are dull, there's zero chemistry, and I found myself rooting for the dinosaurs just to feel something. I wanted to see everyone in this movie eaten alive in the most violent way possible. Why? Because I did not care about any of the characters. The story plays out like a studio checklist, nothing gets explored, and there's no heart in it. Some of the dino designs bring back the old monster movie vibe, but the film barely uses them. It just ends with no momentum, no setup, no excitement for where the franchise is headed. It's not as awful as the last few, but it still feels empty. And I think there's a good reason. I think there's a very good reason that they still make and sell shirts that say Jurassic Park. They don't really sell too many shirts that say Jurassic World on them. And I think that's for a very good reason. And that's because since 2015, once we started getting Jurassic World films, and you know, I get if you like some of the Jurassic World movies, I get it, man. It's fun to watch CGI dinosaurs tear shit up on the big screen, even if you have a lackluster story and subplots that are completely moronic. For example, how to train velociraptors for military purposes. Well, that's just a stupid idea. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. How about half the movie just takes place in the basement of a rich guy's mansion and we auction off dinosaurs? Yeah, that's a pretty stupid idea. Or Jurassic World Dominion, where it didn't know what it wanted to be, and then they try to interject a whole bunch of nostalgic characters, but they don't know what to do with them, so they sort of feel like they're just standing around. And then they had a major subplot about giant locusts. I don't know about you, but when I go to see a dinosaur movie, I can't wait for a subplot about locusts. So, getting into Jurassic World Rebirth, I was super excited to see this movie. It was one of my most anticipated movies of the year, not just the summer. I love me some dinosaurs. I love dinosaurs up in the big screen. And for me, ever since I was a stupid little kid, every time I close my eyes and I envision a fun summer blockbuster movie, my brain always goes to Jurassic Park. I think that is the embodiment of a magical experience in the cinema involving dinosaurs. And the thing that makes that movie so great is, yeah, it was ahead of its time. It was something audiences had never seen. But beyond all of that, outside of the dinosaur sequences, the movie was like lightning in a bottle. It had all these great characters that just oozed charisma. You either loved them or you hated them. Like Dennis Nedry. You know, you needed a villain of the film. You didn't say the magic word. And I got my little dinosaur DNA canister right here. Kind of looks like these all look like they're filled with Mountain Dew and not dino DNA. But either way, I think if you did inject Mountain Dew with frog DNA, you'd probably get a dinosaur out of it somehow. But anyway, I'll put that over there for now, and I'll save it for later. So when it comes to the first Jurassic Park movie, I think it's phenomenal in every sense of the word. And the thing that is so frustrating to me is you have the blueprint. You have what works. It already exists. All you have to do is copy and paste it and give us some dinosaurs doing shit up on the big screen with cool characters. Sold. Now, I don't really ever expect them to make a Jurassic Park sequel or Jurassic World sequel that's better than Jurassic Park from 1993. I don't expect that. But I just want a good sequel that's mildly competent and entertaining and doesn't do things that are questionable at best. So when it comes to Jurassic World Rebirth, where do I start with this? The concept is awesome, but the execution, not so much. You have the biggest group of one-dimensional, boring, dull characters you will probably see up on the big screen all summer. Scarlett Johansson. Now, I love me some ScarJo. She plays a mercenary who won't admit to being a mercenary in this film, and her character is, you don't know who she is. You don't know what her, other than wanting money and to do this job. That's all you know about her. The movie elaborates on nothing more. And she's not even a good mercenary. It's not like she has this really cool kick-ass sequence where she takes out a whole bunch of dinosaurs with a shotgun or anything like that. No. She doesn't really do anything. She's just there, just like every other character in the film. And as far as the villainous antagonist human character of the movie goes, he's some greedy corporate guy who wants to extract dino DNA to sell it as a pharmaceutical to cure some random illness in humans. So it's basically the plot of Deep Blue Sea. Except, I would say Deep Blue Sea is a much better, compelling, and entertaining film containing big monsters, aka great white sharks. Now, when it comes to this movie, it's not... I'll say this. Let's back up. Jurassic World Rebirth will probably be much more entertaining and well-received in comparison of the last few entries in this franchise, for the reasons I've already said. It gives you dinosaurs, it gives you an adventure on an island, and it doesn't really stray away from those things. So it goes back to basics, technically speaking. So I appreciated all those things, but what you see on the screen just becomes meandering. There's this family that gets interjected into this story, and they're the most boring group of people I've ever seen on a movie screen. And they're simply there to be idiotic and run away from dinosaurs and scream. That's why they're there. They offer nothing else to the movie. But then again, none of the other characters offer anything else to the movie either. So Caesar says, I hope it's scary. So speaking of the horror elements of this film, based on the trailers, I was looking forward to this movie. Once again, I didn't think it was going to be perfect, but I thought it was going to be a fresh take, something that we haven't seen in a while from the franchise. And I was hoping that the franchise would go back to the roots of the Michael Crichton novel, which is much more terrifying and scary and thrilling and has those horror elements in it. That's what I was hoping to see from this movie. Just little bits of that. And I'm very disappointed to tell you that it doesn't really ever get there. It doesn't. It doesn't get there. So if you're expecting that, you are going to be disappointed. And if it ever does get close to getting there, where it's a little bit dark and eerie, it lasts for about 3.1 seconds. Subvert your expectations. When it comes to the mutated dinosaurs, you do see many different variations of dinosaurs throughout this film. You do see the D-Rex for about 2 minutes. And that was a letdown. I'll leave it there. I won't spoil anything. You do see some friendly dinosaurs, some herbivore dinosaurs. They're not man-eaters. And there were some interesting things going on with them, but they sort of just stand around and they get petted by the humans and then they go off to the next thing. And like I said in my quick review, this just feels like a series of forgettable sequences involving very short-lived encounters with the dinosaurs. It's like they walk down a trail, they go, oh, there's dinosaurs, and then they scream and run away, and then it's like everyone forgets what just happened, and they're just like, let's keep going, and then the same thing happens, and so on and so on. But it's not only that, it's sort of the tone of the movie that killed it for me. It feels a little cartoonish at times, and I get that this is a movie about dinosaurs, I completely understand that. And I don't mind a fantastical, fun adventure that's a little bit lighthearted. But this movie, it gets to the point where I know it's PG-13, but it almost feels like they're pulling more punches than necessary to cater to an even younger demographic of children that can go watch this movie. They want families with young kids to come watch this movie. And I get it. Maybe that'll help the box office. But for me, this felt almost lighter in tone than the previous Jurassic Park or Lost World, or even Jurassic Park 3 felt slightly darker in tone than this does. There's a shot in this, and I know I just want to give you like a little scene that it's not significant in any way. It doesn't matter to the story, but it's one scene that really just took me out of the movie, and it made me come to the realization that, yeah, this is not the movie I wanted it to be. It's not this epic adventure that's going to be memorable, that puts me on the edge of my seat and gets me immersed into all these sequences. Because once again, every time you encounter a dinosaur in this movie, that lasts for like 60 seconds, and then it's over before you ever get immersed into the scene and care about what's happening. But then again, you would need interesting characters to help propel that and add to the suspense. But you just have boring characters with short-lived sequences with the dinosaurs. So that's not a very good culmination for a Jurassic World movie. But there's one scene, and you see it in the trailers, where they're climbing the side of a cliff. And one of the characters, and once again, this doesn't spoil anything. It's a random scene in the movie. One of the characters falls off a 300-foot cliff, lands in a creek that's 2 feet deep, and then gets out of it and goes, whoa. And then 3 seconds later, all the other characters that were 300 feet up in the sky on the side of a cliff repel down within 2 seconds. There's no cuts in the scene. It's one take. And they're on the ground 2 seconds later. And it's almost like, it feels like a live action cartoon. It was something about that really took me out of the movie. I know I'm nitpicking. But let's talk about the director of the movie, Gareth Edwards, who directed Godzilla 2014. And Gareth Edwards knows how to film reptilian giant monsters, okay? And one of my favorite things about Godzilla 2014 were some of the eerie, creepy visuals when you had Godzilla walking through the fog and the smoke, and it was rainy, and then you had the team of military dudes jumping out of the back of the plane with red flares. I thought that was an eerie, epic scene. But I don't really feel like this film gives you anything up to that level. You do see the D-Rex. There are some red flares to help it look scary and terrifying, even though it looks like a xenomorph with Down syndrome that you see on screen for 3 minutes, and then, it doesn't really go anywhere. But just like the movie itself, this doesn't propel the franchise in any direction whatsoever. And as far as the story goes, of the backstory of creating these mutated dinosaurs on this island that's never been mentioned once in any of the 6 previous movies, there's probably 2 sentences about it, and that's it. There's no story. There's no real setup. The opening scene was one of the most underwhelming things I've ever witnessed in the theater. And I know I keep saying that, but it's like you blink and it's over. And it just feels like this movie is a series of sequences that feel like they're made for people who have an extreme severe case of ADHD who cannot look at a scene longer than 3 seconds. Because it feels like they're just obligatory, just, here, look at this, next thing. Here, look at this, next thing. Here's a dinosaur, fuck you, next thing. So that's what this movie came across like. But on a positive note, and I know you need a positive note in here, the river raft sequence that you see in the trailers with the T-Rex, that was probably the only sequence I will remember about this movie. Because it lasted a few minutes and it had suspense. It took its time. It sort of built up to it. And I enjoyed that. And that's what this movie needed more of. So as far as this movie goes, I thought it was a letdown. I really did. And this does not get me excited about future installments in this franchise, unfortunately. But I will say, at least it wasn't as convoluted and bogged down as the last entry, Dominion, which I think was probably the worst Jurassic Park / Jurassic World movie ever made. So I just think it needed better characters. I really do. So if you guys have any questions on the movie, I don't want to spoil anything, but if you have any questions, feel free to chime in and we'll talk all about them. We got the first question here was from Jason, who says, first question attempt, John, how much thought do you put into how you start out a live stream show? That's a great question. And I'll be honest with you. I'm a procrastinator. So what I do is I know I'm going to do a live show on Friday at some time. But I put together this entire live stream and all of my thoughts probably 45 minutes before I started this live stream. And keep in mind, before I started this, I ran down to McDonald's. I got 2 McDoubles, a large fry, a large Coke Zero. I ate all that and ran in here and set up the live stream. And I was like, okay, what am I going to say? And I probably put 10 minutes of thought into that. And then I make the thumbnail and then I crap it out into the universe. I don't like to over prepare for things because I don't want it to feel disingenuous. I want you to get my real unadulterated thoughts. So not much time. I don't put much preparation into the live stream, but I have put a lot of time into setting up the technical aspects of it, like the graphics, the camera, stuff like that. I did want to keep touching base on some of these other reviews of the movie and some other quick reactions here. We had another one here from this guy named Clayton who says, "Welp, Jurassic World Rebirth is a movie. It has that going for it." And I would agree with his sentiments completely. This is probably one of the most instantly forgettable movies I've seen this week. And I've seen a lot of movies this week. Mark says, "Jurassic World Rebirth hits every note you'd want a Jurassic film to hit with engaging characters." I don't agree with that at all. None of these characters are engaging, charismatic, or compelling in any fucking way whatsoever. That is a blatant fucking lie. Anyway, as a great score, the score is great because they just reused the same shit from 1993 from John Williams. That's all it has going for it. That is the only heart that is in this movie. There's nothing else. Anyway, hats off to Gareth Edwards. I already want to see it again. Well, good for him. Jurassic World Rebirth throws so much at you. Enter the dino riddled seas and lands that the tension sits with you throughout. Although too many moments were predictable, the other cute and cringe. It's a fun time loaded with nostalgia and jumps. Jurassic World Rebirth is a fantastic addition to the franchise, delivering everything you want and more. Yeah, except for entertainment. Fun. The cinematography. Gareth Edwards knows how to craft a great dinosaur movie. I would disagree with the cinematography. Outside of a few sequences, I thought it looked like a very substandard, normal film that pretty much you would see any random day of the week. So anyway, those are some other reactions to Jurassic World Rebirth. It's rather than Rebirth, I call this Jurassic World Abortion. That's what I'm going to call it. I did not like this movie, and the more I think about it, the more it pisses me off. I'm going to be honest with you. There's no excuse for mediocrity like this anymore. It's like, how many times can you fuck up this franchise over and over and over again? And then what you do is you try to go back to basics, but you go back to such basics where you strip everything away from the movie. And it's like, now we have people on an island. There's dinosaurs. You have anything else? No, that's it. So what do they do? I don't know, some stuff. And that's what the movie feels like. So maybe I'm being a bit too harsh, but I'll leave it at this. If you just want a mediocre dinosaur movie to watch for 2 hours in the theater while you eat some popcorn, this is that. But when you tack on the name of Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, to me, this was a letdown. And what they did with the screenplay and the characters, to me, I don't understand why they made it so just watered down and forgettable. I don't understand it. I feel like Jeff Goldblum and his left pinky has more charisma than everyone else did in this entire movie. So those are my thoughts on Jurassic World Rebirth. Leave your thoughts down below. Let me know what you thought about it. All right, if you haven't seen it yet, are you looking forward to it? Please let me know that as well down below. I don't want to ruin it for you. I just want to give you an honest reaction to the movie. All right. Let's go to the next one here, and the next question, getting a little backed up on the question. Oh, the next topic I wanted to talk about, and we will get to the questions very shortly, I promise you. Anthony says, I understand that one of the reasons theaters are still open is because of the established IPs like Jurassic Park / World, but damn, let's leave it alone. Let's go back to the 90s style of films. Absolutely. And hey, I don't mind if they... I wouldn't care if they made a new Jurassic Park movie every year. Just make it good. Make it entertaining. And the concept of this felt so wasted. All right, let's go to the next topic here. And the next topic I want to talk about is a movie I did enjoy quite a bit. And that movie was F1, starring Brad Pitt going fast in a car. A Formula One race car, that is. Now, I drove to Chicago on Monday to see this. Now, that's a 3-hour drive there and another 3-hour drive back. And I saw this in a really cool theater, a nice AMC theater. And when it comes to F1, this is directed by Joseph Kosinski, who directed Top Gun Maverick. And this might just be my favorite go-to director when it comes to action films working today. And if they were to ever reboot the Terminator franchise, I feel like this would be the right guy for the job. I truly feel like he would get it right as far as the look goes. His style sort of reminds me of like a modern day James Cameron. Take that how you will. But here are my quick thoughts on F1. F1 puts you in the cockpit with Brad Pitt going 200 miles per hour. It delivers some of the most intense, adrenaline-filled racing sequences and edge-of-your-seat fun you'll have all summer. It fits perfectly into the ultimate dad movie genre. Going into the third act, the story loses some traction, the pacing drags, and it leans into familiar tropes and cliches. But overall, it's everything it needs to be. And I stand by that completely. This is a fun summertime movie, and if you liked the trailers for F1, I think you will like or maybe love the movie. It delivers on its promises, and when this film gets going, when you're in the cockpit of these Formula One race cars, the way that it's shot with the practical effects, it's so immersive, it's awesome, and when you have the sound effects and the score with these bombastic sounds, it's everything I want to see from a movie like this. It knows what it is, and it just goes for it, and it delivers. As far as the story goes, I will say this. This is literally the same formula of Top Gun Maverick, copy and pasted, but now we have Brad Pitt instead of Tom Cruise. And instead of fighter jets, we now have Formula One race cars. But the same plot exists. A dude who's a little bit past his prime, who wants to relive his glory days for one last race to achieve victory. Well, that's his passion. And also, there's a young rookie who he has a conflict with, and they have to overcome it. So the story's not anything groundbreaking, but it's everything it needs to be, and it's more than serviceable. As far as some of my complaints for F1, it does get a little bit convoluted going into that third act, and they do have a couple subplots that, for me, it felt like they were forcing some kind of melodrama into the story that didn't need to be there. There's like one subplot that revolves around the rookie's mother, and she's mad at Brad Pitt's character, and it's like, what is this weird family drama that should not be in this movie? It's like, get back to the epic race scenes. I don't care if his mom's slightly mad at Brad Pitt, but the movie focuses on it like it's a big deal. There's also like a very forced plot with an antagonist of the story who wants to like buy the racing team, and it lasts for 6 seconds and it ultimately doesn't matter or go anywhere. But outside of that, damn good time at the theater. Highly recommend it. And I think it might be my favorite movie I've seen this week, this very busy week of movies. So if you've seen F1, let me know what you thought about it. And if you haven't, highly recommend checking it out in the theater. It will. When I was watching this and they were doing the POV shots of Brad Pitt in the race car, oh man, like I could feel my ass rumbling, and I loved it. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from, by the way, are the super chat emojis popping up on the screen? Oh yeah, okay, cool. I was having some technical problems earlier, so. All right. And the last main topic I want to talk about before we dive into your juicy questions is a movie I've been waiting, I think 17 or 18 years, or it feels like 28 years later since the last installment. And that movie is 28 Years Later, directed by Danny Boyle. Now, when it comes to the first movie, 28 Days Later with Cillian Murphy, I quite enjoy it. And the thing about that movie that I have always sort of loved and hated at the same time was it was shot on early digital video cameras with DV tapes. So when you go back and rewatch this movie, it kind of looks a little bit grainy and shitty. and it looks like it was shot with like a bad cell phone camera from 2010. But I think it almost adds a little bit of flavor to the movie. And I just recently, for the first time since theaters, went back and watched 28 Weeks Later just the other day. And you know what? I really enjoy that movie. I don't know if I want to say I like it more than 28 Days Later, because the concept of the first movie is so great. But I almost feel like 28 Weeks Later, I feel like a majority of people would probably rather watch that than the first movie. I just feel like they would. It's a little bit more standardish of a movie, but I love it, man. I forgot how like brutal that movie is. The opening scene with the father and the mother. Oh man, that's awesome. There's a great helicopter mayhem scene where a helicopter's just taking out the infected. I call them zombies, but the infected. I thought it was a good time. It's not perfect, but also I forgot that Jeremy Renner was in the movie, who plays a military sniper. There's all kinds of awesome shit that goes down in that film. So I quite enjoyed it more than I remembered liking it back in 2007. So I say all of that because yesterday I watched 28 Weeks Later. And here are my quick thoughts on 28 Weeks Later, and then I'll give you some more insights to the movie. I've been waiting 18 years for this sequel. 28 years later wasn't what I expected, but the first act came very close. Some of the ideas were interesting, and the scenery, atmosphere, and performances really pulled me in. A society stuck in the Dark Ages was fascinating. Then the tone shifts, heavy symbolism kicks in, and it starts to feel like a biblical fable. A lot of the choices are flat out bizarre. There's stuff to appreciate, but I'm still not sure if I liked it. It definitely subverts expectations. And boy, does it subvert expectations. Like I said in that quick little review, the first 45 minutes of this movie with Aaron Taylor Johnson, with his young son, they live on this island that has a land bridge, and this entire area of the UK has been quarantined off. And the rest of the world, I guess, is moving on with their lives. And they live in this small village, this society where they fend for themselves. And I liked that concept. It was very fascinating. I like small scale stories like that. I just think they're really immersive and fun. And by fun, I mean utterly depressing and gloomy, but those are the things I want to see in a movie like this. And the first act is fine. I thought it was going in a direction that made me hopeful. And then, right when the second act hits, the movie tonally goes into a completely radical different direction. And I know Danny Boyle likes to do things like this. I get it. He likes to twist and turn audience expectations and deliver something that's not cliche or a trope that you haven't seen a million times. And I appreciate things like this, but keep in mind, this is a sequel. This is the third installment of a movie, of a universe that's already been pre-established. And I think a lot of people wanted something different than what they're going to get, or what you're going to get if you haven't seen the movie. And by the second and third acts, the tone shifts of like that symbolism of like, there's almost like a David versus Goliath vibe. There's like it feels like a modern day telling of a biblical story. And there's one infected zombie-like dude who's 7 feet tall, and he runs around naked, and he's like a giant Neanderthal Viking. And and I'll be blunt with you. His manhood is just dangling around all crazy like. And for me, it's like, hey man, you can bite me and turn me into an infected, whatever you want to do. Just get that baby arm away from me, because it's going to slap me in the face and I don't want it near me. It was just a weird creative decision, and I don't understand where he was going with that. But like I said, for me, it sort of felt like the story of David versus Goliath. But man, there's so much other randomness that happens throughout this movie. But hey, it does get dark, it does get brutal, and it will push audiences to their limits in some sequences, okay? There's one other thing I really felt like I needed to tell you about this movie. Oh yes, there's an artistic choice that they made for this film. And what they did is they used iPhone 15s and they did sort of a bullet time effect. And there's some behind the scenes featurettes talking about this online. Maybe I can show it to you guys here. Let's see. 28 weeks later, iPhone rig. Let's see if we... Okay, here we go. Give you a little... Show you what I'm talking about here. So, if you see this right here, what they did is basically they rigged up like 50 iPhone cameras to give you this like bullet time matrix effect in the movie. And the only time that they use this effect is these people who live in this village that feels like it's in the 17th century, which I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Every time they shoot a bow and arrow at one of the infected, it's like the camera stops and does a bullet time thing really quick, and then it cuts away. And a few of those scenes I thought worked and were kind of cool, but it almost becomes distracting. And the visual that it gives you doesn't really add anything to the scene or the story. And it sort of takes away, in my opinion. I think that's a cool idea to show maybe a few times in your movie, but they show it like 20 or 30 times. Every time somebody gets shot with an arrow, it does this weird, like quick bullet time effect, but it doesn't look like it would in the Matrix where it kind of goes slow and pans across. It's very instant. It almost looks like when you're watching Netflix and your internet buffers for a second and it kind of gets juddery and it skips a frame. That's almost what it feels like. It's almost juddery and it feels like the movie's skipping a frame rather than adding more of a visual to give you more of an impact of like this arrow hitting somebody in the face. So for me, I wasn't a big fan of the effect. So, but as far as the movie goes, I feel like you will probably like the first half and probably really dislike the second half. And hey, it goes for it. There's some very bizarre choices. The last scene in this movie, I was like, what the fuck was that? What is that? What are you doing? It feels like something. Have you ever seen the movie Gummo? How bizarre and outrageous it is. There's like a little kid taking like he's taking a bath and he eats spaghetti and then he works out by taping silverware together in his basement. It's just weird, nonsensical shit like that. And the last scene in 28 weeks later, or 28 years later, it does something so nonsensical and stupid that it feels like it belongs in an episode of the Power Rangers. So there's a lot I like about the movie, but there's a lot I don't like about the movie. And it's really unfortunate. Like, I almost want to, I would recommend the movie because I appreciate a movie that takes risks. But at the same time, it takes risks that are unnecessary and don't add much. And I feel like when you have a movie that's the third movie in a franchise, you have an obligation to at least give audiences what they've come to expect to a certain degree. And it feels like the first act of this movie was almost like, yeah, okay, I'm going to give you that, but then I'm going to do whatever else I want to for the rest of the movie. And I don't know if I liked the creative choices. Okay, so those are my thoughts. Those are all the movie topics I wanted to talk about. And if you've seen 28 years later, what did you think about it? Please let me know down below. I'm curious to know if you guys liked it or disliked it. Please chime in and we will get to all of the questions. And if I have any YouTube members in here, please chime in as well. I'm reading the chat right now. Dustin Rich says, what's going on here? Some kind of live show or something? Yeah, it's something, man. I don't know what it is, but it's something. All right, let's go to the next one here. All right, the next question comes from... Oh, gosh. Jason says, John, if AI took over movies and there were no more actors, what would you miss the most? I mean, the day that AI takes over is the day that creativity dies. It really is. And I feel like we're almost getting to a point where AI, the more it trickles in, the more audiences and viewers sort of push back against it. I think it's going to get to the point where if a movie blatantly says they used a lot of AI, I think people are going to revolt against that. And as humanity should, AI is not a good idea. It's never a good idea. In medical fields, in science, great. Put it there. For monotonous tasks that no one wants to do, great. Leave it there. But when it comes to creativity, absolutely not. I think it should be outlawed. I think it should be banned. And I think it should be eradicated. And even saying its name should be punishable by death. I think AI will be the end of creativity. I think it'll be the death of films. And at some point, if AI keeps going and going and going, you won't need anyone to do anything. Like, I won't need to be here right now. I'll just go to ChatGPT. Okay, give me a live stream talking shit about Jurassic World, Rebirth, and go. And then, boom, you'll have this, whatever this is. So, I'm not a fan of it. All right, let's go to the next one here. A new YouTube account says, "Hey, John, any advice for a guy who's lacking confidence? Thanks. Just fake it until you make it. My best advice to you." Just pretend. Just know everyone inside has a lot of insecurities, a lot of shortcomings, and the people who might not have those things are simply just unaware. Everyone has insecurities, but you just have to tuck that shit deep down inside and keep going. You know, that's my best advice to you. All right. The next one comes from... Oh, did I skip a couple questions here? Let's see. Here we go. Skylar Wheelock says, "How did F1 manage to be such a visually thrilling edge-of-your-seat ride while still delivering so much emotional depth? Isn't it rare for a movie like this to be packed with action, style, and yet still leave you genuinely moved?" It is. And you know what it is? I think sometimes simple is better. And F1 kept it pretty simple. And it just delivered what you wanted to see. It didn't try to interject a whole bunch of stuff that you didn't need. It just, simplicity is the key. It really is. And if you can take that simple idea and execute it as well as you possibly can with style and charisma. For example, like Brad Pitt's character, there wasn't much to his character, but Brad Pitt as an actor has so much charisma just oozing off of him. And the thing that I really noticed about Brad Pitt in F1, and I've always sort of known it about Brad Pitt and his screen presence, he's just the coolest dude ever. Yeah, well, we're going to go fast, aren't we? And I liked little things like that. He was so nonchalant about everything. Oh, the one thing I did want to mention about F1 and Brad Pitt's character was, the thing I liked about his character was he sort of like races in the gray zone. He bends and twists the rules. He doesn't break them. He just bends the rules to get an advantage on the racetrack. So if his team doesn't have the fastest or best Formula One race car, he uses other things to his advantage. Like he'll take the rules that are in place and like find loopholes in them to get an edge. And I thought that was really cool. So, all right, the next one comes from Jason, who says, "John, why are we human beings? What does it mean to be human? And do you think predators from the Predator movies are real and out there somewhere?" I hope there are. But in society, we do have real predators that I would almost say are more terrifying than the predators that went up against Arnold in the 1987 classic Predator. You son of a bitch! So I think that's a bit more terrifying. What does it mean to be human? I don't know. It means to be flawed. It means to discover the meaning of life. I'll just leave it there. Okay, let's go to the next one. The next one comes from Renza Zalvigio, who says, "What's your take on Jurassic Park 3? I know it's not the most praised, but I miss the simpler plot over the messy Jurassic World series." You and I both. The longer that this franchise continues on, the more I almost appreciate Jurassic Park 3. It is a very flawed movie. Very, very flawed. And it's not that well executed. I think Joe Johnston, who directed Jurassic Park 3, later even said, like, I needed money. That's why I made the movie. Like, he did not want to direct it. Or maybe that was for Wolfman. Either way, it didn't look like there was a lot of passion in the movie. But man, I'll tell you this. It almost has more flavor and style and substance than any of the Jurassic World movies, doesn't it? Like, it doesn't look as good. And sure, there's that really weird scene where Alan Grant has a dream about a velociraptor talking to him. Alan, wake up. Yeah, that's kind of stupid. And it's become an infamous meme since. But there's still some fun stuff to be had in that movie. I'd much rather watch Jurassic Park 3 on a rainy day than any of the Jurassic World movies, including the newest one. But I will probably end up rewatching the newest Jurassic Park movie because my wife has not seen it yet. And when I went to Detroit to see this movie, and keep in mind, it was a 400-mile round. I drove 400 miles to see Jurassic World Rebirth. So when I crap on the movie, just know I don't want to. I didn't spend 12 hours in my car that day to go see a movie I didn't want to see. I truly wanted this to be a magical experience. And it just, the more the movie progressed, I was like, oh, it's just another Jurassic World movie. So I will probably rewatch it at the drive-in theater at some point because it feels like the appropriate place to watch it, but I'll probably rewatch it. I'm curious what my wife thinks of it. Jason says, love, 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 magical soulmates love out into the world. Well, thank you for that. Basti L says, hi, John, I'm 42, and my top 3 movies of all time are The Terminator, True Romance, and Die Hard, Greetings from Germany. Well, thank you for those insights. Yeah, man. Hey, not a bad group of movies. Interesting choices, though. Terminator, True Romance, Die Hard. Okay. Hey, I like it, man. My top 3 favorite movies might just be Terminator Judgment Day, Forrest Gump, and I'd probably throw, like, I don't know, Point Break in there, Nightcrawler, or maybe, trying to think something else. I know it's cliche to say, but like The Shawshank Redemption, I think, is like a near perfect movie as well. Nothing hits harder on a Friday night than Diet Mountain Dew. Okay, the next one comes from Jason, once again, who says, John, what do you think of the standalone Clayface movie? It's my favorite Batman animated series character. I never thought we would see the character realized on the screen. I definitely think it's interesting. I do. And if ever you can make a character study film, well, okay, first let's back up. The Joker was the ultimate solo character study of any Batman character you could ask for. The first Joker, not the second one that turned into a musical with Lady Gaga, but the first one with Joaquin Phoenix was very reminiscent to Taxi Driver because it sort of copy and pasted the formula, but I liked it quite a bit. I love a deep dive character study into the mind of a sociopath. So for me, by making Clayface, you said it's Clayface standalone movie, right? Yeah, Clayface standalone movie. I'm curious how well that does because Clayface does not have the same recognition as Joker, but I think a struggling actor who gets consumed with their own appearance and has body dysmorphia issues and starts doing prosthetic surgery on themselves and manipulating the way that they look, I think that is intriguing, and I think that would lend itself to an awesome character study. But ultimately, I would rather just see that villain in a Batman movie. I don't necessarily need a standalone Clayface movie, but I would like to see that same storyline with Batman in it as well. I would like to see that. Because like I'm kind of getting tired of these spin-off movies where it's like we're going to talk about this character, but we're not going to focus on the protagonist of the story, and he has no apparent appearance in the movie at all. It's like I get where you're coming from, man, but can we just like tie this shit together and kill two birds with one stone and give everybody what they want? But yeah, I always thought Clayface was an interesting character, and I don't think you're going to see the Clayface like you did from the animated series, where he looks like a big giant turd just changing shape and moving about like the liquid aliens in the Abyss. I don't think we're going to see that. All right, the next one comes from Waco Mismo, who says, do you think rebooting the Saw franchise is the right way to go? They shouldn't have killed off Jigsaw. Love your channel. Well, thank you for that. I think as far as the Saw franchise goes, there's been a lot of lows and a lot of very, very lows. For me, the first one is still the greatest. The second one's pretty good. And there's been a few fun sequels throughout the years. But I think they sort of ran their course with Jigsaw. Tobin Bell he looks like he's 99 years old. And at some point, you have to pull the plug. I remember in the last movie where they did the flashback scene, and they're like, look how young he is. And he has a backward baseball cap on, and that's all they did to de-age him. And I didn't really like the last movie all that much, to be honest with you. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't like to see new Saw movies. And I definitely think, and if they were to reboot the franchise and go back to basics and maybe shift things a little bit and give it the respect that it deserves, I would be on board with a Saw reboot. I think it would be great. And I think there's a lot of different directions you could go, because I feel like the current incarnation of the franchise has gotten a little bit convoluted. And I feel like it's time to pull the plug, right? It's time to saw the foot off and say game over. So I'm okay with a reboot, and I would welcome it as long as it's good. But then again, with Blumhouse buying the rights, who knows how good that could be? I don't know. But I don't know. Wouldn't it have been really interesting if a studio like A24 obtained the rights to the Saw franchise? Now that could be intriguing. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from, we got the movie guy. How's it going, the movie guy? Can we just merge Marvel and Jurassic World at this point? I'd go watch Captain America taking on a T-Rex. You and I both. I don't think there's any reason that we can't see the Hulk fight the D-Rex. There's no reason for it. Absolutely no reason. And I agree with you. So anyway, you do get a party popper. And by the way, guys, I only have one party popper today. I forgot to go to the store and buy more. I'm so sorry. Let me punish myself. There, I deserved that. So you get a party popper, movie guy. Here it goes. 3, 2, 1. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Nothing sets the mood on a Friday night like a party popper and some warm Diet Mountain Dew. And I stand by that. So thank you for the question, man. And you got a few more up here. The next one also comes from... The next one also comes from the movie guy, who says, I watched Transformers Rise of the Beast for the first time this week. When they revealed the G.I. Joe connection, I was a little disappointed. I really wanted a Fast and Furious Transformers merger. I forgot about Transformers Rise of the Beast. I completely forgot about that. That was the last movie, right? With the kid who steals the car, who talks like John Leguizamo. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, that's it. I forgot that there was a G.I. Joe connection in that movie, to be honest. I forgot that movie existed. I did not think it was that great. But then again, the thing is with the Transformers franchise, there's always a military presence in those films. And for me, my brain just says those are G.I. Joes, and they could have easily been if they just added a few G.I. Joe characters with a military presence in the Transformers movies. it would have been the G.I. Joes, right? Like in the first movie, you had Josh Brolin. Just give him a G.I. Joe character name. He can be a G.I. Joe, you know? But yeah. Oh, by the way, speaking of Fast and Furious, and by the way, I have like 5 videos to make. I'm working on them. I am. There was a scene in F1 where literally Brad Pitt gives the Dominic Toretto speech about when I'm racing, that's all I see. I'm just on the track. Everything else disappears. He literally gives that same monologue that Dom Toretto gave in Fast and Furious. Just putting it out there. I'm not saying I hated it, just referencing it. All right, sorry, I can't see the screen. There we go. The movie guy also says, the movie guy says, I'm super excited for F1. I love racing in general because I'm very competitive and racing is the best way to solve the problem. I'm glad to hear you liked it. Can't wait to see it. Absolutely. If there's conflict, take it to the racetrack. The man with the fastest car or the most technique is going to win. And I drive a Toyota CHR that goes 0 to 60 in about 20 minutes. So I would probably lose that battle. But either way, I'd show up. Doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning. Striffler94 says, believe in paranormal UFOs. Had any experiences? No, I haven't. You know, one time when I was younger, my sister and I were outside. This was probably like 1993. And she was looking up in the sky and freaking out because there were 3 lights moving around like this. Like 3 different lights shining up in the sky. And we're like, oh my God, is it the second coming or are aliens invading? What is happening? Should we go in the basement and grab fruit roll-ups and just hide under the sheets? So what happened was, it was basically, there was a nightclub down the street from our house that had a grand opening. So they had spotlights in the sky. And I don't remember how we figured that out, but we did. All right. And by the way, movie guy, thanks for the questions. Hey, you got more here. Jeremy Renner's death is still hard to watch in 28 weeks later. Oh, yeah, man. Not to spoil anything for you guys, but I guess now you know Jeremy. The movie's 20 years old. Yeah, the scene where Jeremy Renner is trying to save the kids and the people in the car. So what he does is he gets out of the car to push it, and he gets lit on fire. And it's pretty intense. I love that scene as well. The next one comes from Skylar Wheelock, who says, how is The Last Samurai not talked about more as one of Tom Cruise's most powerful roles and one of the most epic films he's ever done? Yeah, it's pretty good, but I'll be honest with you. I've only seen the movie probably like 1.5 times. Now, the half time I watched it was, I think I just like gave up on it when I was watching it on DVD or something. And it's one of those movies I should probably go back and revisit, but I did like a lot of, like, on the concept of it sounds great to me. It's a time period movie. You have this American guy who becomes a samurai. I think it's pretty awesome. But I don't remember a lot about it, to be honest with you. So maybe I should go back and revisit it. See, I'm one of those people. I'm part of the problem. I'm sorry. All right, the next one comes from here it goes. Jason says, John, what would a real zombie apocalypse be like if it really happened? Who would survive? Well, let's be honest with ourselves first and foremost. Not many people would survive. I know you think you would. I know you really think you would, and so do I. But we'd all be dead within a week. Now, keep in mind, a couple years ago, we had a little something called the pandemic, right? We weren't churning into zombies. We weren't infected. We weren't screaming and running down the street, biting people's necks. Well, some people were. But we as a society are very fragile. We are very weak. We are very stupid. We are sheep being led to the slaughter. And 99.9% of society will walk in the direction of everyone else and go to the slaughterhouse. But you have to also keep in mind, we ran out of fucking toilet paper. Did you hear what I said? We ran out of toilet paper. So do you think in a zombie apocalypse, we're going to make it that far? like people couldn't wipe their ass the second week of the pandemic. And you think we're going to survive a zombie apocalypse? Absolutely no. So first and foremost, I will turn into cannibalism. I will. And the first thing I'm going to have to do is impose fear, because fear is a great defense mechanism to impose on your opponents. So what my plan is, and hear me out for a second, in the zombie apocalypse, I'm going to lather myself up in baby oil and put on a Jason Voorhees mask. I know what you're thinking, John. You just want to be Lord Humongous from Mad Max, the Road Warrior. And if you don't know who Lord Humongous is, I need to show you right now to really get this point across, or else you're not going to understand who I am as a person. That's Lord Humongous. He's a buff dude covered in baby oil wearing leather underwear. And I feel like if I were to do the same thing in the zombie apocalypse, no one's going to fuck with me. If you saw that dude walking down the street, that's just one guy you're going to be, okay, we're going to go the other direction. All right. So that is my plan. That is the best defense mechanism I have going for myself. So I hope I answered your question. Leave the fuel and I will spare your lives. And I'll say that when I raid and pillage people. All right. The next one comes from Daniel Glassman. John, doing it. I want to tell you something and listen close. Your live streams are the funniest shit ever. Can you please, God, give me a Nick Nolte love you? Well, Daniel. Oh, my God. Well, Daniel, it's a real nice thing what you did with that super chat. That's my Nick Nolte impression. I'm sorry. But just for you, Daniel. Just for you, man. And thanks for watching. The next one comes from... I saw a question here. Where did it go? Okay, let's go to this one here. Sorry, I'm not incompetent. It's just the text on this software is like 7-point font. I cannot read it. Israel says, I've been rewatching old Flick Trip videos and getting all nostalgic. Really made me realize how much I've grown up with you in your videos. Please never stop making Flick Trip and movie night videos. Also, I hope to see you get jacked again, John. Gym videos? When? Well, thank you for that. Thank you so much. So I do have a couple Flick Trips coming. I do have like a mini Flick Trip coming for F1, and I do have probably a little bit longer of a Flick Trip coming to go see Jurassic World Rebirth. So look out for those. And I started going to the gym again. I did. I've been to the gym maybe 5 or 6 times, but I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you. Muscle memory is real, and I can already feel like my traps growing a little bit bigger and my biceps are getting a little more swollen up. And my chest is a little puffier, like my shirts are fitting a little nicer. I kind of like it. Do you want me to keep rubbing my man breastises as I tell you about this? I can, and I will. No, I won't. Okay. But yeah, man, thanks. As far as gym videos go, I don't know. Probably not. Just because it's hard enough to focus on making videos about movies. But I'll give you more Flick Trips. That I can do. And by the way, real quick, guys, this is probably the last time I will ever mention it. I have a brand new movie night video on my main channel, The Flick Pick. The link is down below. I watch Avengers Endgame in my backyard to talk about if it still holds up. But in that video, I do a sponsorship for a movie projector. And they're doing a giveaway for that movie projector. And all you have to do is comment on that brand new movie night video to be entered in. So if you want, go check it out, leave a comment, and I hope one of you guys win. Okay, I thought I saw another question here. Where did it go? Okay, well, maybe we'll get to it. Here we go. Ill Magic says... Wait, is that the right one? Oh, no, I'm sorry. Andy Kumar says, ever been recognized and approached in person? Yeah, many of times over the years. And it's always kind of cool and surreal because I know who I am. I'm just some fucking dude who talks about movies on the internet. I'm nobody. I promise you. I'm a guy drinking Mountain Dew talking about Lord Humongous. Okay, that is who I am as a person. But also, I'm sort of boring most of the time. To be completely honest with you, I savor 99.9% of all of my flavor for YouTube. I really do. Outside of this, I'm like, I just feel like I feel like I'm an old guy, and I feel like I'm old. I feel like I'm turning into Clint Eastwood. I just wake up every day and I look at my yard and I'm like, do I need to mow this today? Does it need fertilizer? Okay, let's eat a breakfast sandwich. So what was the question though? Oh, have I ever been recognized? Yeah, I was actually just recognized yesterday by a dude who worked at the movie theater when I went to see 28 Days, or I keep calling it 28 Days, 28 Weeks Later. So that was kind of cool. And I think, and when I went to see Jurassic World Rebirth, I ran into another viewer. So that was kind of cool as well. Yeah, it's always cool to me. If you ever see me, please come up and talk to me and say hi. It would mean a lot to me. It would. I don't want to feel so alone and scared. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Robert Giachanta, who says, I'm sorry, the questions are messing up here. Okay, Ill Magic says, Jurassic Park 3 is like a nice fast food meal that's good to have if you're not in the mood to cook dinner. You know what? I will completely agree with what you just said. I really will. I would agree with that. And that's fine. Sometimes you just want a McDouble and a small fry. You're hungry. You want something to fill the void. Yeah, it was good. It was okay. It did the job. So I agree with you. And I would say the new Jurassic World movie is sort of like you go to an expensive steakhouse and you're expecting a great meal. And what you get is an overcooked steak and a hair in your mashed potatoes. And your date doesn't even show up. So you go home unfulfilled and unsatisfied. I'll leave that analogy however you want it. Take it however you want it. There you go. All right, the next one comes from Robert Giachenta, who says, can't watch live because I'm watching my Willie. What? Because I'm watching my Willie, but thank you, John, for all that you do. Well, hey, you enjoy that Willie, man. And thanks for the question and the comment. Thank you so much. Enjoy that Willie. Jason says, frogs rain from the sky, apples eat themselves, no one hates a hater. Steam rises from the ground. Moths lick each other. Winter, and dinner Yeah, I agree with everything. Thank you for that very poetic message. Thank you so much. Very inspirational and deep, nevertheless. By the way, on a side note, I want to share this with you guys. I broke my phone the other day. Like, it just completely just shattered. It dropped and something else dropped on top of it. Then the screen got cracked. And then the screen had so many cracks in it that every time I had to use my phone, I felt like I was going to get a gash on my fingertip. And then my phone screen started to flicker out yesterday. And finally, I was like, fuck it, it's done. And I wanted to smash it with a hammer and run over it with my car. So I had to get a new phone today, but the thing is, I cannot remember any password to anything that I have because with technology, well, they make you update your password every 2 days, and then you have to add to it, and you can't reuse the last 25 passwords you've used. So now I'm using like 47 exclamation points on a password that I will never remember, and I can't remember how to log into anything. So that's a bit problematic. So now I have a phone and all it does is I can make phone calls. I can't download any apps because I can't get into the Apple store. So I hate technology. I really do. Okay, let's go to the next one here. The next one comes from Clark Ingleton, who says, thoughts on the big zombie in 28 years. It should have been called Naked Zombies with Big Thumpers. That dong was so big as mine as I think yours, I think. What? The dong was as big as mine and yours, I think. Okay, there we go. When I read the word dong, my brain just went all scattered. Yeah, man, it was a bit distracting. I mean, if I saw a giant man running at me with that muscular baseball bat swinging back and forth across both of his kneecaps, I would probably run for my life as well, too. I probably would. Because, dude, that dude's going to do more than just, like, bite your neck. He has some aggression and pain to take out. And keep in mind, he's not wearing any pants, so anything can happen. Yeah, it was definitely a choice. It was a choice. All right, let's go to the next one here. Martin Valuik says, what was the point of the fake-ass dinosaurs? Like the real ones aren't cool enough? What a spit in the face to nature. I have zero desire to watch this. I'm glad you mentioned that because that's one point I forgot to mention. There's one aspect of Jurassic World Rebirth where the reason that there is an island of mutated dinosaurs, and this isn't necessarily a new concept because they started doing this in Jurassic World back in 2015, where they genetically engineer a different dinosaur for the sake of a new tourist attraction because people are getting bored with dinosaurs. And that's one concept I'm sorry I just cannot swallow or buy whatsoever in this franchise. And I'm going to tell you why. Early on in Jurassic World Rebirth, and once again, this is not a spoiler, it's just a random scene that doesn't amount to anything. Early on in this movie, there's a dinosaur that's causing a traffic jam in New York. And it's stuck on something. It's a herbivore dinosaur. So it's not like a T-Rex or something. And there's a traffic jam and everyone's like, get that dinosaur out of the way. I got to get to my job. I got to get to the bakery. I'm running late. And no one appreciates the fact that dinosaurs actually exist anymore. Society is tired of them. So that's why we have an island of mutated freak dinosaurs, okay? Keep that in mind. But I don't buy that shit. Not for 1 second, and here's why. We as a society, as humanity, we still pay money to go to the zoo to look at kangaroos and giraffes and elephants and alligators and chimpanzees. And we've been doing this for like the last 100 years, okay? So you're telling me within 30 years, people are tired of seeing dinosaurs? Oh, okay. Yeah, so anyway, just, I don't know. Whoever's writing this shit, I don't know. It's not Gareth Edwards, it's Garland, Ex Machina guy. Alex Garland, yeah, I think he did the screenplay for it, so whatever. Okay, let's go to the next one here, and the next one comes from Iconic84 says, John, make a passworded document with your passwords. Yeah, but the thing is, every time I change a password, I'm going to have to update the document, and I'm going to forget to do that when I'm in the middle of something on my phone in my car driving down the road. Okay, so that's the problem. Dustin Rich says Free Willy. Well, thank you, Dustin Rich. Okay, let's go to the next one here. Oh, Bruce Cook, who has been a member for a very long time, says, John went to Jurassic World Rebirth because his sister Scarlett Johansson is in it. Do I resemble Scarlett Johansson just a little bit? Just a little bit? When I was a little bit younger and I had even more soft features, I definitely looked way more like Scarlett Johansson. Like going back 10 years ago, I looked way more like Scarlett Johansson. And hey, I'll take it. Now, that might ruin Scarlett Johansson for you, but I'll take it. All right, let's go to the next one here. Okay, the next one comes from Jason once again, who says, John, what is the most messed up thing you have ever seen in your life? Ooh. I don't know how dark I want to get with this. I'll just put it like this. One time I had a family member that they were a little older and they were having some medical issues, and they were put in a nursing home. And we walked into their room one day, and they're heavily medicated, and they're covered in their own mess, if you will. Okay. And they were left like that for like an hour with no help. And that's the day part of me gave up on society. I'm like, no one really cares about anyone. So that was pretty messed up. Way to take down the tone in the live stream, man. Thanks. But yeah, that's why, like, I will never put a family member in a nursing home. I don't care. I won't do it. Wouldn't do it. Not to my worst enemy. Well, maybe my worst enemy, but all right, let's go to the next one here. Logan X says, John, you missed my super chat. I was number one. I'm sorry, Logan X. Let's go back, man. Oh, man, Logan X. Oh, you know what it is, man? Hey, I'm very sorry. You are right. Sometimes the software I use skips over like the first question. So here it goes. Logan X. And I don't have a party popper for you. I wish I did, but yay. I'm sorry. Logan X says, what's up, John? Saw it 28 years later last night. Overall, had a decent time with it. I wish they gave us more of the father-son duo and less of the mother. Also, thought the Swedish guy had some great lines. Yeah, what Swedish guy? They all talk with accents. I'm sorry. Who are you? Are you talking about Ray Fiennes, or who are we talking about? I don't know. Are we talking about the guy with the huge dick? Because he didn't talk. But overall, I did enjoy the father-son dynamic. I didn't hate the mother character. I actually think I liked kind of what they did with her, actually. But I felt like it took up a lot of time. And ultimately, where it went wasn't as satisfying as I was hoping it would be. But I didn't hate her as a character. Iconic84 says, hi, John. How would you react if Austin Butler and Brenda Fricker were to make a movie together with Brenda Fricker playing the Pigeon Lady in it? Wasn't the Brenda Fricker already the Pigeon Lady? Anyway, hey, I'm almost to a point where I'd rather watch the Pigeon Lady than Austin Butler. So there's that. Okay, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from, let's catch up on some of these questions here. Let's catch up. Where's Logan X again? There we go. Okay. So sorry I missed your question, Logan, but I got to it, man. And thanks for the question. Ill Magic says, what about Fast and Furious Jurassic? Dom Hobbs and the crew working with InGen to chase down dinosaurs with their cars. I mean, hey, if you can have a subplot in one of the Jurassic World movies where you have velociraptors that are going to be trained to work with the military to go into caves and eat terrorists, then I think you could probably have Dom Toretto drive a race car in a Jurassic Park movie. Why couldn't you? Like, that seems like the most logical thing you could possibly do. That seems like the most realistic approach. So yeah, fine, man. As long as Jeff Goldblum's there, I'll be happy. All right, the next one comes from DJ Run. DJ Run says, what are your thoughts on the movie Vertical Limit, the climbing movie with Chris O'Donnell? It's kind of silly and unbelievable, but a guilty pleasure. Dude, I completely agree with you. I think Vertical Limit is a fun, rainy night movie to watch. I remember seeing it in theaters and thinking this is a lot of fun, and it's super intense. And the thing that you have to appreciate about Vertical Limit was, I think it's actually very well made. I really do. Some of the climbing sequences on the mountaintop, there's thrills and suspense. And if you don't know what Vertical Limit is, basically, there's a group of mountain climbers, and one of them is played by Bill Paxton, and they get trapped on top of this mountain in this cavern, and they're dying. So Chris O'Donnell, who plays the brother of one of the lady that's stuck up there, they're on a rescue mission, and time is of the essence. But what they have to do is take these small little containers that kind of look a little bit similar to the dino DNA, and they're filled with nitro. They call it nitro. It's an explosive like acid material because they have to like bomb their way to get to where they are. But it's an intense thrill ride. Now, keep in mind, it might feel a little dated because it came out in the early 2000s, but man, it is a good time. So if you want something random to watch that you probably have never seen and you just want some fun, definitely watch Vertical Limit. I will recommend it. And hey, I'll leave it like this. If the opening scene to Vertical Limit does not put you on the edge of your seat or make you want to watch the rest of the movie, then don't. Just watch the first 5 minutes of the opening scene, and I think you'll enjoy it. And as a dude who hates heights and watching movies where people climb high things, it makes my palms sweaty. It's just a place. I have very strong survival instincts. So like I won't put myself in the ocean, and I won't put myself atop a mountain. I know my limitations, okay? But it makes my palms sweaty. It does. So highly recommend it. Check it out. I like it. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from the movie guy. My body needs this. My body needs it too, I'll be honest with you. This is, I like doing these on Friday because why? I feel like the weekend's here and it's like fun and we can hang out and celebrate it together. And plus, I'm at a point in my life where I just hate editing videos. I absolutely fucking hate editing videos. I think it's the most, I don't mind making the video. I just hate editing the video. And it's just tedious. So that's why I like live streams so much. I'm not always as articulate as I want to be. I can't always edit these videos to perfection, but damn it, it's a good time and I enjoy it. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Caleb, who says, John, hope you are well. You ever been / want to be pegged? No homo, I swear. I mean, sure, why not? Every once in a while, a little pressure on the prostate never hurt anyone. Well, maybe it's hurt a few people. I'll tell you the kind of pressure I don't want on my prostate is from the zombie in 28 years later. You don't want that kind of pressure. But hey, I respect everyone's decisions behind closed doors, including my own. We should probably go to the next question. Okay. You guys do know 98% of the shit I say is for the sake of humor, right? Okay. Don't take everything I say so literal, except for that. All right, let's go to the next one. The next one comes from... How do we segue from this? Okay, the movie guy says, pick the flick, John. The audience needs it, my friend. You know what I'll do right now? I won't play pick the flick because I don't feel like physically standing up to do it. But what I will do is I do want to talk about some new 4K Blu-rays that showed up in my mailbox this week. And I think it's a very topical discussion of movies here. So we have I Know What You Did Last Summer. So they just put out a new trailer for this. They have a sort of a continuation sequel, but also it feels like a reboot at the same time, but it's a reboot with the original characters coming back. And it looks like whoever watched the Scream franchise and saw that it made money were like, hey, how about we copy that same idea with I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is a much, much worse film than Scream. And for me, when I saw this movie for the first time in 1990, was it 7 or 8? I think it was 98, but 1997 sounds right too. I thought it was fine, and I loved Jennifer Love Hewitt as a young man quite a bit. And heck, I even like Freddie Prinze Jr. I don't know, take that how you will. And Sarah Michelle Gellar's in the movie. So I always thought it was fine, but I didn't think the antagonist of the movie was all that intriguing. Like, if you compare this movie to Scream, I think the concept, the story, Ghostface, that's all great. That's so fascinating and interesting, and it lends itself perfectly to a movie like this in that genre. But for this, it just, like, a whole bunch of unlikable, stupid teenagers kill a guy with their car, and he seeks vengeance. And you sort of feel like, yeah, you should kill them all. They're little assholes who just hit a man, threw your body in the ocean, and took off. Yes, gut them with your hook, please. Decapitate them. I don't care what you do. They all deserve to die. So, like, I was on the side of the antagonist of this film. But anyway, I have the 4K copy here. It's a steelbook. A pretty nice steelbook right here. It's still in the plastic. But I would like to go back and revisit this before I watch the new movie coming out. So, pretty cool steelbook. And by the way, let me give a mention here. Let's see. I Know What You Did Last Summer is from Sony, and it comes out June 24th as a limited steelbook. Would you guys? I can open it up for you and give you a little closer look at it. Oh yeah, I love taking the plastic off a steelbook. Let it breathe, baby. Let it breathe. Oh, you don't belong in saran wrap. You deserve to be free. Oh, physical media. The day it dies is the day I die. So here's the slipcover to it. Nothing crazy. Here's the steelbook. I mean, cool steelbook. I mean, looks legit. You got the hook right there and everything. And then there's the inside of the steelbook right there. So, yeah, pretty cool. I will definitely watch this on 4K with my wife one of these rainy nights. And are you guys still watching? We have 207 people in here, and hey, one of you 207 people might just get lucky, so don't you go anywhere. Here we go. So I have the JAWS 4K 50th Steelbook that showed up at my front door today, and there's something that really upsets me about this. And then I have another copy of the JAWS 50th 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray right here. As you can see, look at that beautiful slipcover right there. One of the most iconic poster cover designs ever made. And in my personal opinion, as a guy who went to school for graphic design, I think this is probably and ultimately the best movie poster ever made. This tells the complete story, the symmetry, the colors, the vibe. To me, this is the ultimate cover or movie poster that has ever existed. And this is why it has a prominent place in my theater room. And that's why I have a whole shelf back there dedicated to Jaws. And I have the Jaws popcorn bucket. So I just have a weird fascination with sharks. I always have and always will. But what I'm going to do, after this live show gets uploaded to YouTube, right? After it's done, it's rendered and uploaded to YouTube. And you can go back and replay it. If you would like a chance to win this copy of Jaws, the 50th anniversary, brand new in the plastic, 4K Blu-ray, all you have to do is leave a comment under this live stream after it's over and after the replay is ready to go on YouTube. Leave a comment saying, "Hey, John, I want the Jaws 4K." And I will randomly pick someone on the next live stream and I will mail this to you. I'll even write a little note beside it. I can include a little lock of my hair on it if you'd like. I don't know. I don't know what you guys want from me. So yeah, if you want to be entered in, like I said, wait till after this live stream is over. It's uploaded on my channel, and then go comment underneath that video. And you're entered in. And typically, FYI, when it comes to the replays of the live stream, there's not a lot of comments. There's like 40 or 50. So your chances are pretty good. So do that. All right. My gift to you. All right. So let's check out this 4K Steelbook of Jaws, right? And I love the way it looks. I can't see anything with these glasses on, but let's open this bad boy up. Oh, release the beast, baby. Release the beast. Donna, 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 Donna. Oh, yeah. Look at that. That is artwork. I am happy with that steelbook. Now, they have the iconic image of Jaws right there coming out of the water. They have the lady there about to be eaten alive, but also they put some characters on there. And usually I'm sort of against floating head designs, but in this case, I like the way it's laid out, and I think it's a nice tribute, and I like that they put some of the characters on there. So, we got Richard Dreyfuss. So, yeah, man, I think that's a nice looking steelbook. And check out the back of it, though. They didn't leave anything left behind. Look at that. Oh, yeah. So, some nice artwork. It says, no swimming, hazardous area, beach closed by order of Amity PD. Now, my only issue with this steelbook is not the steelbook itself, but they put this in a bubble wrap mailer and sent it to me. And I don't want to sound ungrateful. I think it's awesome that I occasionally get free Blu-rays. To me, as a guy who loves physical media, the fact that I get free movies is like, if you could have went back 15 years ago and told me that was going to be part of my life, I wouldn't believe you. And I'm so fucking grateful I get things like this. I really am. But would it hurt you to put it in a box? Look at that. Look at this bit. Fuck. Look at it. It's bent. It's bent. It looks like Jaws took a bite out of it. So maybe I'll try to fix this in my garage with like a vise or something. I don't know. I feel like maybe I could flatten it out just a little bit. It's just slightly bent. But anyway, let's open this up here. Here's the inside of the Jaws 50th anniversary steelbook right there. So you have 3 discs. I don't even know what the discs are in here. Let's check it out. You have the Jaws 4K disc. Then you have the Jaws 50th anniversary Blu-ray disc. Oh, the definitive inside story is on this. And then you have the standard Blu-ray. So is this a different cut of the movie? I guess I should read about this. I'm sorry. Can I read this in front of you? Dive deeper into the Spielberg summer blockbuster sensation that changed cinema forever. Oh, okay. The definite inside story is a brand new look at the making and legacy of the film, directed by in a partnership with Steven Spielberg. Oh, okay. The digital disc include over 5 hours of bonus features with an inside look at the making of the film, deleted scenes, original on-set footage, and more. So yeah, that's kind of cool. And there's it's basically an extra bonus featurette. So that's pretty awesome. Okay, I actually will check that out. For me, when it comes to summer movies, my brain always goes to Jurassic Park and Jaws. Those are like the 2 definitive, big, epic, suspenseful summer movies that I feel like everyone should watch multiple times throughout their life. So anyway, those are my quick thoughts on those. Gaden Allen says, I hope they kept the making of the documentary on there from the original. I think they did. There's 5 hours of bonus features on there. John will forever be tied to Jaws, and he should have Jaws on his tombstone. You know what? That would actually be kind of cool. I wouldn't mind a tombstone shaped like a great white shark. And on top of it, I want there to be a little action figure of me swimming like this. Like this. You heard it. So if anybody wants to set that up for me one day, just putting it out there. All right. Let's go to the next one. I don't even remember where we are. Okay, let's go to the next question here. And the next question comes from, let's keep scrolling up. Okay, the question where I got pegged. There we go. Oh, so that ties right into the question where Sal says, hey, John, what are your thoughts on Jaws turning 50 today? Well, we just celebrated the physical media, but like I said, Jaws is one of the most iconic movies, and for the right reasons. It is near perfect. It's everything it should be, and it's a true testament to cinema. So the fact that that movie's 50 years old today, and it still sort of stands the test of time, which I feel like 99.9% of movies currently being made probably won't. And I really think about this. think about it. Just step back for a second. Here's how my brain works when it comes to movies. And I always ask myself this question. Will anyone talk about this movie in 10 years? Will anyone remember this movie in 10 years? And typically the answer to that is no. And that sort of always takes a movie down a peg, in my opinion, when I'm reviewing it. I'm just putting it out there. That's how my brain thinks. So the fact that you have something like Jaws still relevant 50 years later, what movies being made today will be relevant in 50 years, if any? And that's a great question for you guys. And if you guys have a movie that was made in the last decade that you think will be relevant in 50 years, people will talk about it, please let me know what movie that is down below. And I'll talk about some of the movie picks that you guys comment. So get them in now. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Mike's Movie Talk, who says, better movie, The Lost Boys or Sinners? Now, I love The Lost Boys. There's perfect 80s nostalgia. You have the saxophone guy. There's so many iconic things in that film. You have the two Corys in the film. There's a lot of fun stuff in that movie. But I think Sinners, as far as maybe cinematography goes and actually filming it with IMAX cameras and the scope of the movie, I would say I think Sinners is technically the better movie, but I don't know if Sinners will be remembered in 20 years like The Lost Boys has been for like the last 5 years? When did that come out? 86, 87, somewhere in there. So almost 40 years ago. But I love me some Sinners. But here's the thing about Sinners, and hear me out for a second. I really enjoy the first two acts of Sinners, and my least favorite act in Sinners is when you finally start getting the vampires, and they have the nightclub. That's sort of my least favorite act of the movie, and I know that's like the climax of it, and I'm not saying I dislike it, I'm just saying I like the build-up getting there a bit more. So take that how you will. But I loved me some Sinners. And I do want to go back and revisit it. And I refuse to watch the streaming version of it. And that is a 4K I probably need to pick up. So maybe I'll do that. Or maybe I'll wait until Black Friday. And it'll give me an excuse to go out amongst the unwashed masses to buy a new 4K Blu-ray that I need. Because there's very few that I would actually buy. And that might just be the one I would buy. So maybe I'll wait until I get a deal on it. So... But then again, maybe the question should have been, not Sinners, but, oh God. Oh, I'm sorry. From Dusk Till Dawn. Yeah, that's what I was trying to think about. That's a better comparison. Because Sinners does borrow some Dusk Till Dawn plot lines and concepts just a little bit, putting it out there. But hey, there's nothing wrong with that. All right, let's go to the next one here. Okay, the next one comes from the Movie Guy once again. And thanks, Movie Guy, man, for all the questions. I wish I had more party poppers to light off for you. I will. Next time I go to Walmart, I'm going to buy like 500 of these bitches, okay? I'm tired of running out of party poppers. It's like celebrating 4th of July without fireworks. It's blasphemy. But anyway, the Movie Guy says... where'd the question go? Here it is. Is Mortal Kombat 95 endlessly rewatchable? You know what? For me, it is. I could probably rewatch Mortal Kombat once a year. Now, keep in mind, when Mortal Kombat hit cinemas back in 1995, I was a hardcore Mortal Kombat fanatic. I played every single game. I bought the magazines. I memorized... probably like 3 or 4 of the fatalities. That's all my little brain could handle. And this was before the internet. So you couldn't just look this shit up. You had to get the magazine, and by the way, I'm going to give you guys an inside scoop to how much of a piece of shit I am, okay? When I was a kid, my family didn't have a lot of money, but we would go to the grocery store. And as my mom would shop around, I would go to the magazine aisle, because the magazine aisle back in the 1990s was kind of like the internet. This is where I got all my information about video games, movies, you name it. And once again, we didn't have a lot of money, and magazines were like $5, $6, $7, $8, $9 a piece. I know, it's crazy. People actually paid $10 for a magazine back in the 90s. So what I would do is I would try to consume as much of the information as I could as my mom was shopping. And if there were some articles that I really wanted to read, I'm not proud to say this, but you know what? Times are tough. And I think this really inspired my love for movies and video games. Hear me out. I know, I'm a piece of shit. But I would rip out the pages in the magazine. So if there was like an article, I would rip out like 5 pages of it, but I wouldn't leave the magazine in the front so somebody would buy it and be missing pages. No. I'm too much of a nice guy for that. What I would do is, and keep in mind, I was like 9 years old. I would drop it behind the shelf where all the magazines were, so no one could ever get to it. I know. It was wrong. But it gave me an education in cinema. So that's what I would do. And I would take those pages and like fold them up and put them in my pocket. And I would savor them. And I would read them at school. So I kind of forgot I did that just until now. How does that relate to Mortal Kombat? Well, I remember always tearing pages out of video game books so I could have all the cheat codes and all the fatalities for Mortal Kombat. So when it comes to the movie as a kid, for me, Mortal Kombat 1995 was sort of like the Dark Knight for me at the time. This was like everything I've ever wanted to see come to live action. And I thought it was somewhat fulfilling. When you had the Scorpion fight scene with Johnny Cage, and by the way, we have to share, I have to share this with you guys. We have to show this. Hang on. This is too sexy not to share. Johnny Cage Scorpion fight. Oh, baby, give it. Oh, you guys are in for a treat. Are you guys ready for this? Get over here. Let's watch this. Just look at this. Oh, the music. Gotta pause it. Copyright. Now, I will say, even as a kid, I thought Scorpion's harpoon coming out of his hand was a little, like, it kind of looked weirder than I thought it should. I do like this scene, though. I love how, like, he has the longest harpoon rope or whatever this is, this metal cord, and it just so happens, it's like 500 feet long, but just ends right there, right before it can get to Johnny Cage's face. But that's not even the coolest thing about this scene. This scene right here, for many years, was one of the most badass scenes. When you asked me about a movie when I was a kid, this was the scene my brain went to. Let's watch this together. Oh, listen to that. Wait, hang on. Like, that's fucking awesome. How could you not like that? Like, to me, that still holds up. Oh, but let's get the music. The suspense. Oh, I love it. All right, that's enough. That's enough of that. You're making me want to watch the movie. So suffice it to say, I love me some Mortal Kombat 95, and I could watch that shit every year. All right, let's go to the next question here. And by the way, let's see what you guys said about movies that would live up through the next 50 years. Balloon and Raccoon says, Jaws in my pool part 2 is going to be epic. One day. I should have done that for today, but I couldn't find a swimming pool. Makano says, the Dune movies I think will be around for a long time, like the Lord of the Rings. You know, the thing is, I don't know if they will. I don't think they have as much significance in culture as the Lord of the Rings movies. Like, I know a lot of people like the Dune movies, and I respect them and enjoy them, but maybe after Dune Messiah, maybe once you kind of have a trilogy, but I don't know. I just feel like we live in such a weird time period where, and I'm going to get a little philosophical on you for a second, but hear me out. We live in such a time where we're inundated with so much content. you have new movies coming out every week, but also you have unlimited amounts of content on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. And what's happening is, and I think this is detrimental to film and long form content, and I've noticed it myself, the more inundated we are with all this extra content, though it's good for like promotion of movies and it helps get the word out, but as much as that helps, it also detracts from it, because we live in a society where as soon as something happens, the next day it's old and irrelevant. And I've noticed that with movies. Movies no longer get enough time to breathe in the zeitgeist of society. Even a couple years ago, before TikTok and social media truly took over, when a movie came out, people would still talk about that movie for a couple weeks, 3-4 weeks. I remember when The Dark Knight Rises came out, people talked about that movie constantly for a year leading up until the movie. And then after the movie came out, we still talked about the movie like it was relevant for 6 months. But now, even if you have a huge movie that comes out, people like it, it's sort of forgotten about 5 days later. It doesn't matter. Like, you might as well not even talk about it, make a video. It's irrelevant at that point, unless there's some controversy surrounding it. So I think the problem with social media is even the greatest movies that are being made today, they just get pushed down, and there's a pile of instantly forgettable, useless content that people keep crapping out and we keep swiping on and watching, that it just sort of bogs down the conversation revolving around that movie. And when you kill that conversation, the movie starts to die and it doesn't really resonate in people's minds anymore. So I feel like not many things are memorable because of that. And those are some of the introspective thoughts I have late at night. So anyway, that's what I have to say about that. That's all I have to say about that. All right, let's go to the next one here. What else did you guys say? Oh, Balloon Raccoon says Will Smith's Wild Wild West. Dustin Rich says your tombstone will probably be covered in ungodly amounts of pigeon feces. I know it will be. Parasite, the Raid movies. I don't know, man. I don't think the Raid movies are going to be remembered in 50 years. Oppenheimer? Maybe. I can, when it comes to Nolan movies being remembered in 50 years, I could almost see like The Dark Knight being remembered in 50 years. I could kind of see that. Or Interstellar. I think Interstellar would probably have a place in cinema history in like the next 20, 30 years. I think people are still going to want to explore that movie. Top Gun Maverick, Django Unchained. Dustin Rich says Sinners doesn't have an epic oiled up saxophone guy. I know, that's the biggest complaint I have with the movie. Sinners is dropping on Max 4th of July. Oh, that's kind of cool. Legendary says, I think Parasite will be relevant in 50 years. Yeah, it's one of those movies that it doesn't have the same epic scope of something like Jaws, but I think Parasite will be in the discussion of great movies for a long time. But I'm talking about movies that will truly stand the test of time, like iconic movies, like Jaws or Jurassic Park. Or Mortal Kombat. Oh yeah, Sonya Blade in Mortal Kombat. Oh, beautiful. Austin Dolan says Substance kind of sucked. What? What sucked about it? Fury Road, Avengers, and Avatar. I don't know, man. I don't know if... You know what's crazy about Avatar? For a movie that made record-breaking profits, no one really talks about it or references it, and it has no place in pop culture. That's the weird thing about Avatar. Even the last Avatar movie, the sequel, like, people wanted to see it. It made a lot of money. Do you see a lot of people wearing Avatar t-shirts or saying lines from Avatar? I don't hear it. You know what? Actually, I don't. The Matrix, that might be one. I have one on here. You know which one I'm going to go with? And I just rewatched it the other week. Titanic from James Cameron. I think Titanic, it's hard to top that because, first of all, it connects to Titanic, the most historically famous sinking ship story of all time. So it's always going to have significance, right? But Titanic, directed by James Cameron, is really the fundamental movie covering that. I mean, you had that really shitty 80s movie where they raised the Titanic up, which was kind of weird. But I think Titanic from James Cameron will still have some historical significance in another 20, 30 years. And it still holds up. I rewatched Titanic just, I don't know, like 2 weeks ago. And I was having this discussion with my wife, and I'm like, if they remade Titanic today and it was a love story on a boat, they could not make it better than James Cameron did in 1997. Like, they couldn't even get close to it. So I'm going to go with Titanic. And also Terminator 2 Judgment Day. How about that? Yeah, Nova Sonic said that. Legendary says, I think Godzilla -1 will remain relevant in 50 years like the original Godzilla. See, that's the thing. I think in 50 years, people might just remember Godzilla, but not necessarily Godzilla -1. Art2D2 says, why does Avatar make $2 billion for no reason? Because China. They like blue aliens that have ponytails that they make love with, as we all do. But I think that also helped. Commando will be remembered. I agree. All right, let's go to the next one here. The next question comes from Ronan the Troll Slayer, who says, John, take a sip of your delicious Mountain Dew. Okay. There's nothing less hydrating than a room temperature Diet Mountain Dew. I'll tell you that. But what his real question was how much you bench, Sally? To be honest with you, the most I ever benched was like 325 in my peak. And keep in mind, I was like 110 pounds of pure muscle back in 2016, 2017. So that's the most I ever benched. But I was never a big bencher, a big flat bench guy. I always did everything else. And I didn't really care about how much weight I could push. As long as I looked strong, I didn't really give a shit about being strong, to be honest with you. But it just came with it, though. So I think that's the most I ever benched. But benching always hurt my shoulders. And I don't even recommend doing flat benches. Do incline benches. It builds up your chest way more than a flat bench ever will. That's my recommendation from a guy who used to be really in shape 6 years ago. Okay? Let's go to the next one here. The movie guy says, Vertical Limit is fucking awesome. The opening scene is hard to beat. Yeah, the opening scene of Vertical Limit, it's sort of reminiscent to the opening scene in Cliffhanger with Sylvester Stallone. A little bit. But I think it's on the same level. But it's a really cool opening scene. You guys should all go watch Vertical Limit. I should just play the Vertical Limit right now and we can watch it together for the next 2 hours. That's what I should do. Fuck copyright. Fuck them. You know what? Maybe one day we will do that, though. It's like, who's even going to copyright claim my Vertical Limit footage? Who would even care? Like, it's the most exposure that movie's gotten in 20 years. Rafa Zepian says, your top 5 popcorn buckets that you have and your top 3 that you wish you have someday that don't exist yet, but I know you've already imagined. That is a great question. So I have like 6, 7, 8 popcorn buckets. A lot of them I don't like anymore, but the coolest ones I have the Darth Vader helmet back there. My favorite popcorn bucket, since it's JAWS 50th anniversary, I will go grab it for you. Hang on. This is the JAWS 50th anniversary popcorn bucket. This is my favorite popcorn bucket of all time right here. This is perfection. This is why popcorn buckets should exist. This is like, yeah, it's a popcorn bucket, but man, this shit looks cool on the shelf. So I love it. But a few other cool ones I have the Batman 89 bat signal back there that was released last year. I have the Batman cowl from the Robert Pattinson Batman movie. I have the Gladiator helmet right there. The movie Gladiator 2 sucked quite a bit, hated it, but kind of a cool popcorn bucket. I'm looking forward. I'm going to get it, the Galactus popcorn bucket from the upcoming Fantastic Four. Let's look at this thing here. It's huge. Galactus popcorn. I made a video on this a couple weeks ago. And by the way, do you guys watch the clips that I post from the live streams? Let me know. Do you guys want more of those? Or did you even know that they existed? So anyway, but occasionally I do post clips from the live stream on some of the main topics. But anyway, when it comes to this Galactus popcorn bucket, this thing is awesome. It's like 1.5 feet tall. The eyes light up. It costs $80. Keep in mind. But in my opinion, I think this is $80 well spent. So first of all, it looks pretty cool. It's a big magenta Galactus head that you can put popcorn in. But also, I think this thing will go up in value. So I think it's almost like a good investment to make. So I'm definitely going to buy it if I can get my hands on it. And my thing is, though, with the Galactus popcorn bucket for an $80 price range, Galactus's mouth better open up and have a little suctioning power, because he already has the magenta handlebars that you can hold on to. So it just feels like a dual purpose popcorn bucket, if you know what I mean. And if you don't know what I mean, well, it looks really cool and you can put popcorn in it. So I'm going to buy it. Are you guys going to pick up the Galactus popcorn bucket? Let me know. Legendary says, finally seeing the JAWS bucket in person was awesome, but they told me that I couldn't buy it. What? So originally the JAWS popcorn bucket you could only get online, and then you could pick it up at Ames, or you could pick it up at Alamo Drafthouse theaters. And then I went to Chicago to see F1, and at the AMC theater in Chicago, they actually had a whole bunch of the JAWS popcorn buckets on the shelf. So if you go to some AMCs, you might be able to find it. So keep a lookout. Dustin Rich says, I finally got around to watching Willow and it sucked. So disappointing. What, Willow, the TV series or the movie? Yeah, it's not for everybody. I think there's a little nostalgia that I have for it, but I get how a lot of people probably would not like it. It's fundamentally flawed, to say the least, but it has some charm. Art2D2 says, the popcorn bucket looks better than the movie. It is a cool looking. I do want to see Fantastic Four quite a bit. I do want to see it. I like the aesthetics of the 1960s vibe. I think they made the right creative choice by putting it in the 1960s, because for me, that's sort of where the Fantastic Four feel like they belong, and it feels appropriate for me. So I like that they switched it up with that a little bit. So, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Bruce Cook says you should mount the JAWS popcorn bucket on your wall and tell people you harpooned it off the west coast of Australia, and then I put popcorn in its mouth. Yeah, I've heard that idea before, but I kind of like it setting up vertical, because when it's vertical, it looks like the movie poster, you know? All right, let's go to the next question here, and the next one comes from... And if you guys have more questions, get them in. I'm a little bit behind on the questions, but I will answer every single question. So if you guys have a question, get it in. The movie guy says, I just lied to you. Oh, here it goes. Okay. Skylar Wheelock says, what if life worked backwards? Starting old and wise, retiring one day, and ending up as a baby, leaving the world in bliss. Well, I think we just described the plot of Benjamin Button, did we not? And for me, sometimes I do feel like youth is wasted on the young and the naive. If only I knew the things I knew now 15 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, how successful I could have been. But then again, the thought of aging into a small baby sounds terrifying to me. I would not want to do, like, if I get old and shrink and get withered, that's fine, but I'm still going to be like an adult male. I don't want to turn into a little baby. Though I feel like the older I get, I sort of am. I need to be nurtured. I need to be fed. Tell me when to go to bed and swaddle me until I fall asleep, please. And sing me a lullaby. I have something called Peter Pan syndrome. I'm afraid to grow up. So yeah, I you know what? I like the way life works. I don't want to do it backwards. That doesn't sound fun to me. And it was barely fun to watch him Benjamin Button, let's be honest. All right, the next one comes from Claudia Rogajon. How's it going? Funny how Kevin Williamson, the writer of Scream, also wrote I Know What You Did Last Summer, which he actually wrote first, but Scream got produced first because a success, and they greenlit I Know What You Did Last Summer. Didn't the movie almost feel like a beta test for Scream? Yeah, you know what? I didn't know that. That's interesting that you say that. And that does make sense. Because I Know What You Did Last Summer feels like the movie that wouldn't be as good, but it's like your first outing as a writer. And then you make your crescendo with a much better movie with Scream. But it came in a reverse order. So yeah, you're right. That does make sense. Thank you for sharing that little flick fact. All right, let's go to the next one here. Taylor Goad says, watched Castaway tonight and might have cried a little. Wilson gets me every time. Are there any movies that consistently make you shed a tear? Mine are Castaway and Land Before Time. I don't think Castaway makes me cry because I kind of know how it ends. But it is one of those movies that is very thought-provoking to me and almost therapeutic when I watch it. And what I mean by that is, as a guy who I'm getting older, and throughout many, many different periods of my life, I've been at a crossroads. And the thing that I find so impactful about Castaway is he goes through this journey. He goes through these struggles and tribulations, and he survives. Why? Because he wants to get back to the love of his wife, Helen Hunt. And well, she's too busy off fucking the dentist. And hey, isn't that just how life works sometimes? So the literal symbolism of Castaway is at the end of the film, and spoilers if you haven't seen Castaway, and if you haven't, please go watch Castaway. It's probably my top 20 movies of all time. At the very end of the film, they have that shot where Tom Hanks is at a crossroads, a literal crossroads, where he can go any direction. And it's like he's starting from scratch. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's a great ending to that movie. So I like Castaway quite a bit. But as far as movies that make me shed a tear, oh man, I know there's definitely movies that have brought back some feeling, that give me the feels. But one movie that always sort of just hits me in the gut a little bit is Stand By Me. There's something about that group of friends and that camaraderie that they have with each other that they just feel like real 12-year-old kids hanging out. And it reminds me of when I was a bit younger. And you get older in life. And everyone that you know, no matter how good of friends you are with them, they just start fading away. Well, we didn't see Teddy after junior high, and he started doing odd jobs. He tried to join the military, but they wouldn't let him in on account of his ear. You know, things like that. You never have friends like the ones you had when you're 12. Jesus, does anyone? You know, it's just that ending narration in Stand By Me. Every time I watch it, and especially the older I keep getting, it's just like right there in the gut, it hits me. I don't think it necessarily makes me cry, but it is sort of like a wake-up call, you know? It's very reminiscent of life. So, yeah, those are a couple movies. We'll go with those. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Night King 01, who says, what about I Still Know What You Did Last Summer? The movie is hilarious. It makes no sense. Somehow the killer can teleport, and it has Jack Black with dreadlocks. I think that alone makes it better than the first in all the worst ways. Dude, I forgot that Jack Black was in that movie with dreadlocks. Here's what I remember about I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. They win a trip to the Bahamas during the rainy season, and they're too stupid to know this. And then they just show up to a deserted resort, and it's the most convoluted plan there is, isn't it? Like, you're telling me the killer went through all this. He paid for the plane tickets. He reserved the rooms. This was quite the financial investment. Let's keep in mind. Rather than just show up at their door and gut them, he did all this convoluted shit to get them where he wants them. I guess I can appreciate it in a certain way, but all right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from, there we go. Okay. The movie guy says, The Substance will be watched in 50 years. I really hope it is. I really do. I mean, it's a great body dysmorphia movie. I quite enjoy it. The movie guy also says, This explains a lot, John. I'm proud of you. Well, I don't remember what it explains, but thank you. I'll take a compliment wherever I can get it. The movie guy also says, I'm watching Mortal Kombat after this now. You know what? I think I might watch Mortal Kombat after this as well. I'm going to watch Mortal Kombat and then Vertical Limit and then go to bed. I'm going to take 5 melatonin and go right to bed. The movie guy also says, Edge of Tomorrow will be remembered as Tom Cruise's best film in 50 years. Whew. Definitely probably his most underrated movie. And the question you have to ask yourself, now I know there have been rumors and rumblings, and I think it was almost in pre-production at one point, and I could be mistaken, but the fact that we have not gotten an Edge of Tomorrow or Live, Die, Repeat sequel is baffling to me. And I always say this about certain movies that deserve sequels, but when you see the amount of junk that gets crapped out into theaters these days, and more so, the amount of shit that gets crapped out on to streaming services like Netflix. For example, Netflix will spend $300 million on a generic, instantly forgettable action movie that feels like it was created by ChatGPT. And they'll take the time to make these movies. But they won't just acquire the rights to something like Edge of Tomorrow, give it a decent budget, and put it out in theaters and then show it on Netflix. I don't understand some of these decisions. And I probably never will. But Edge of Tomorrow deserves a sequel. So I'm right there with you. All right. The next one comes from Daniel Martin, who says, I'm going through all the Indiana Jones movies and saw Last Crusade re-release in theaters this week. I don't think there's ever going to be a time where the trilogy doesn't hold up. Excellent films. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And when you compare the last few Indiana Jones flicks, you know, Kingdom of the Crystal Plastic Alien Skull and Indiana Jones Dial of whatever it was called, Destiny, I know. I'd rather forget, though. It really just makes you grateful for the movies that we got in the 80s with Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, and Steven Spielberg, doesn't it? That magic is just so hard to replicate. And then for a very long time, myself included, I was like, you know what? Temple of Doom isn't that great until you go back and revisit it. And it's fucking awesome. Just rips the fucking heart out. It's pumping, man. Oh, man. Kids weren't ready for that, but they gave it to us, and I love it. They had child slaves in that movie. That movie was not afraid, and I respect it. But man, yeah, Indiana Jones trilogy, complete fun. Another summer franchise movie that's definitely worth watching over and over again. All right, Night King 01 says, and by the way, thanks for the question, Daniel Martin. Night King 01 says, John, do you think the first John Wick will be remembered in 20 to 30 years? It changed action movies for the better or the worse. I think it's still one of the best of the franchise, and in terms of action movies, I can't remember others from around this time. Yet, the thing about John Wick was it kept it simple. It did. Now, I'm not the hugest fan of the John Wick sequels. I like the fourth movie. I watched Ballerina. I thought it was fine, and I like the first John Wick. I do. Hey, listen, some assholes kill his puppy and he's out for vengeance and he's a hitman. Say no more. Say no more. That's all you needed. Go for it. And I think Keanu Reeves added something to the movie because the less he does, the more he does as an actor. And I appreciate that. So I get why the John Wick franchise is like the only action franchise that is successful in the last 10 years. And I get it. I do. It's simple. You know, it's what people want to see in a cool action movie. But for me, when it comes to Keanu Reeves action movies, if I'm in the mood to watch one, my brain doesn't necessarily go to John Wick. It more so goes to something like Speed or Point Break or The Matrix. That's sort of where I go with it. So those are just my preference in action movies. I just think there's more to them, and they're a bit more wider in scope, and there's more characters and nuance. But man, I like seeing Keanu as John Wick kicking ass. So I think I answered the question right. All right. The next one comes from Evoker to the Face. Did I say that right? Evoker to the Face? Oh, cool name, man. All right. Evoker to the Face. And thank you for the very, very nice question here in Super Chat, man. Thank you so much. This will help pay my phone bill off after I crushed it. Long story. Anyway, here the question goes. Hey, John. Are you looking forward to Squid Games Season 3? I thought Season 2 was kind of underwhelming overall, but I think Season 3 has some potential for some crazy reveals, and I'm curious if it's going to be a depressing ending or not. Oh man, when it comes to Squid Games, in the last decade, that's probably one of my top 5 shows of all time. So yes, I'm definitely looking forward to Squid Games Season 3. Now, was Season 2 as good as the first season? No. But they did sort of expand on certain things, and I thought it was a good second season. I thought it was at least something different, and I like how I don't want to spoil anything, but I like how they brought one character and put them into the games. I thought that added a very interesting element. And also, speaking of Squid Games Season 2, my favorite scene in that entire season was the pentathlon scene, where they have to beat 5 mini games as a team, and they're tied together. And I thought that was an awesome sequence. But it's not only that, it's the music that they play during it. They're playing some like North Korean metal music from the 1990s. And I saved it to my Spotify. It's awesome. I highly look up the song that they play during the pentathlon. I think you'll enjoy it if you like metal music. It's really cool. So anyway, I'm looking forward to Season 3 quite a bit, and we're only about a week away. It comes out the 27th, right? Next Friday? Yeah, so I need to watch that. I'm going to try to binge that and talk about it at some point. So, yeah, suffice it to say, I'm really looking forward to Season 3. I don't know what to expect from it. For me, I get the happy ending where like they blow up the island and the Squid Games ends. And then I feel like the next scene that you see, though, is another version of Squid Games in another country, because they do want to make more spin-offs of Squid Games. I know. And for me, unless it's like did I say North Korean earlier? I meant South Korean. If I said North Korea. For me, when it comes to like the South Korean production of Squid Games and the vibe, I think it just adds a different flavor to Squid Games that, if you do like an Americanized version of it, I just don't feel like it's going to be the same. It's not going to have that same like weird tone and vibe and style, but maybe I'm wrong. And I've heard that the next season of Squid Games is going to be produced or directed by David Fincher, and it will be an Americanized version of it. That's all I know about it. But for me, what they should do with this, though, if they do make an Americanized version of Squid Games, here's what I would like to see. Make it take place in like the 1990s or the 1980s. Change the time period. Modern day does not lend itself well to like a Squid Games. For me, it doesn't. I just don't feel like it could ever exist in modern day society. But if you took it back to like the 1980s or 90s, I think that would be a nice time period for it. And the fact that David Fincher is involved, part of me almost feels like it will take place in the 1990s. For some reason, I could just see that happening. But those are my thoughts on Squid Games Season 3. Really looking forward to it. Couldn't tell you how it ends. I don't even want to predict it. I just wanted to be surprised myself. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from, and thank you for the question, man. Thank you so much, though. Skylar Wheelock says, Monday in Columbus will be my first wrestling event I'll attend live. I'm glad you'll be in attendance somewhere, John. Want to do a meet and greet that day? Give me a time and a place and I'm yours. Side note, I have cool boss. I'm going to get drunk with him. That's awesome, man. It's always cool when you can get drunk with your coworkers or your boss or do hardcore drugs with them in the workplace. Been there, done that. Every pizza place I've ever worked at, all my managers always did drugs while making pizzas. But hey, they made some really good pizzas because when you're high and you're making a pizza, you make that shit good. You 18 pepperonis? Nah. How about 80 pepperonis? Now that's a pizza. But to answer your question, I will be in Columbus this Monday for Monday Night Raw WWE. And the cool thing is, the coolest thing that's ever happened to me the other day was I'm a huge wrestling fan. Always have, always will be. And I bought tickets to see WWE Monday. But Netflix reached out to me and said, hey, would you like some comp tickets as long as you cover the event? And I'm like, yeah. So it's little things like that I'm like, that's cool. That's something I never thought would happen in life, is free wrestling tickets. So yes, I will be there. And I will be, I don't know where I'm sitting. I'm sitting in section 113. So what I will do is, I'll tell you what, I will do some kind of meet and greet that day. How about that? If you can find me near section 113, row D. Section 113, row D is where I will be. So if you come by my seat and want to say hi, not during the show, please don't bother me during the show. I want to get immersed into it, but during maybe one of the commercial breaks or whatever, please come by and say hi. Please do, man. So that's where I'll be. And I'll probably be wearing my John Cena hoodie. Can't see me, but you can see me at WWE this Monday. So anyway, I will be there, man. All right, the next one comes from Skylar Wheelock, who says, has any actor brought as much depth and gravitas to a comic book villain as Michael Fassbender did with Magneto? Well, I guess we can see what Robert Downey Jr. does with Doctor Doom. But yes, I think they have. And the answer to that question would be Heath Ledger as the Joker. I think that is the next runner-up. Now, with all that said, though, what Michael Fassbender did with Magneto was he made Magneto feel like a real person. And first and foremost, Magneto has one of the most interesting backstories of any tragic hero that has ever, or tragic villain that has ever existed in comic book lore. He's a survivor of the Holocaust. If ever there was a logical, reasonable explanation on why somebody does not trust humanity, I think that's a pretty good reason. Call me crazy. So what Michael Fassbender did with that movie, and especially in X-Men First Class, top notch, top tier. And then you get into Dark Phoenix or whatever the shitty movie was, and it's just like, what is this? And I remember Michael Fassbender in Dark Phoenix. He was supposed to be 70 years old in that movie, and he looks like he's 42. They couldn't even give him gray hair. They're like, nah, just stand over there, Michael Fassbender. You're supposed to look 40 years older than you do, but we don't care about prosthetics. Go for it. I don't think they really cared about that movie. Eventually, Fox was being sold off, so I don't think they gave a shit. They're like, let's crap out one more X-Men movie. All right, the next one comes from Skylar Wheelock, who says, has any... I already answered that. Sorry. Where's the question? There we go. All right. Sal says, do you think the problems with movies nowadays is that everything is becoming too niche? I don't think the problem with movies are things are becoming niche. I think everything's becoming too watered down and too broad. They're making everything for the masses. And when you start trying to appease everyone in your movie, okay, every demographic, checklist. Everybody's going to like this movie, checklist. This movie insults no one, check. when you start doing that and you start watering down your movies for the most mass appeal you possibly can, well, you might get it, but ultimately what you're doing is you're making a movie that no one's going to get offended by, that everyone can consume, but no one's going to remember it and no one's going to talk about it. And that's the biggest dilemma I think we have. We're making these blockbuster movies that people show up for because of name recognition or what have you, but ultimately they're not a memorable theater experience. And it's almost a disservice for future installments or sequels. It's like, yeah, that movie was okay, but like, do you want to see the sequel in 3 years? Are you excited to see it? Probably not. And that's why I feel like most franchises are failing now. And I think Jurassic World Rebirth might be a prime example of that. It's everything you've already seen before, copy and pasted into a new movie, but it's all watered down and none of it is ever as good as it was. So the question is, why do you keep doing this? But I'm sure it'll make a lot of money. It will. I know it'll make a lot of money, and I know people will probably like it. But for me, I just compare movies and franchises to better movies in the same franchise. And when it's completely skewed, to me, that's a failure. Like, the new Jurassic Park movie won't be as good as the original. I understand that. But maybe it can just be a little bit worse or slightly worse. But nah, it's way, 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 way down there. So did I answer your question? Maybe I did. I don't know. But yeah, movies, to me, movies aren't getting niche. They're just getting more watered down. All right, the next one comes from Claudio Rogajan once again. May I take a very quick sip of my delicious Mountain Dew? Here we go. Mountain Dew at some point just starts tasting like the bottle that it's in. This tastes like flavored plastic. But I don't hate it, so I don't know what that says about me. Okay. Dustin Rich says, Dr. Doom is my favorite comic book villain and deserves serious casting, not Robert Downey Jr. stunt casting. Disney can suck it. You know what? I'll play devil's advocate with you. The question is, who would be a fulfilling Dr. Doom? And for me, I understand Disney sort of did do some stunt casting with Robert Downey Jr., but at the same time, he gave us everything he could as Iron Man. He was the ultimate hero who made the ultimate sacrifice. So if he wants to come, and Robert Downey Jr. is a damn good actor, right? So if anyone I think could pull this off, it's him. And the thing and the theme that we've been talking so much about tonight, especially when it comes to Jurassic World Rebirth, is charisma. There's only so many actors working today that have charisma, that are memorable and likable. And that's why the first Jurassic Park movie was so great, right? And that's why characters like Iron Man were so great. So I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. I think if Robert Downey Jr. can no longer play Iron Man, but it's a multiverse movie and he can play another incarnation of himself or the most villainous version of himself as Dr. Doom, I think that's sort of interesting. And I'm going to wait and see how he gives the performance. And maybe it does suck. But maybe, just maybe, it is the right choice. And if for nothing else, at least you're going to get a charismatic actor who can act his ass off, who's going to at least try with the role and make it captivating and isn't afraid to do it his way and not water down the character. So maybe it'll be great. I don't know. But hey, let's be honest. With the multiverse of the MCU, they can have another version of Doctor Doom in 5 years and recast it then. So at this point, anything's possible in the MCU. Where am I at? Okay, these questions. Okay, here we go. Okay. Claudia Rogajan says, as much as I enjoy watching Temple of Doom, the movie is so goofy. Well, I mean, really, all Indiana Jones movies get kind of goofy. Child slave labor, I didn't think that was goofy. Anyway, I know you say it's really dark, but it's really only the heart scene, and even that scene is pretty goofy. There's so much slapstick humor and comedy in that movie that the movie is hilarious. Yeah, but man, like in the first Indiana Jones, the fucking guy's face melts off like it's a candle. I mean, it's cool, but there's some goofiness to be had in those movies. A lot of goofiness to be had, but I'll tell you one thing that gets really goofy is in Dial of Destiny when you have Indiana Jones flying around in the what was it, the Dark Ages. Oh, by the way, in Dial of Destiny, wouldn't the logical choice have been Indiana Jones stays in the past and he himself becomes an actual artifact of history? Wouldn't that have been like the more fulfilling ending to Indiana Jones? And he can live off the land and do what he's always wanted to do rather than seek out history and artifacts. He's living in it. To me, that would have been the fulfilling ending. All right, let's go to the next one here. Night King 01 says, I think I can say that The Sopranos will be remembered in 50 years, unlike Penguin. I like The Penguin, but I really forgot it existed until now. Nothing about it was truly memorable to me, and it's extremely predictable if you've seen anything. I mean, yeah, The Penguin, The Sopranos is way more complex with way more complex characters, and it's a much better... the production value is way better. Everything about it's better. It feels like a real... Sopranos doesn't just feel like a TV show, right? It feels like almost a cinematic event that goes on for 5 seasons or 6 seasons. Is it 5 or 6? Anyway, I think anyone who says, I like The Penguin, go watch The Sopranos. Just watch the first season of The Sopranos. And if you compare both those things, it's like eating McDonald's McDouble compared to a sirloin steak, right? Cooked medium rare. That's the difference. Or at least for me. All right, let's go to the... sorry. I have an ultra-wide monitor, and some of the questions are hidden behind my camera. So that's why I keep looking around it. John, any expectations for Jurassic World Rebirth? I'm hoping we get Gareth Edwards' sense of scale and epicness paired with tried and true dino thrills. Well, I spent the first 17 minutes of the live show talking all about the movie. So if you want to scroll back and check it out. So I've seen the movie, so I'm telling you what I've seen. I don't just have expectations, okay? I had expectations. I saw the movie, and very few of those expectations became a reality, all right? So the best way I can summarize Jurassic World Rebirth is it's something to look at for 2 hours as you eat popcorn, but you will not remember this movie in a week. I promise you. It's on the same level of Jurassic Park 3 with some maybe better visuals and a little bit more money thrown into it. That's where I would put it. It sort of feels like the same adventure in a way. So, but hey, I don't want to ruin it for you guys. If you want to see the movie, go check it out. And once again, it is better than Dominion. It's not as insulting as Dominion is. Dominion was just a blatant slap in the face. And the thing about this new Jurassic Park movie is, at least they don't bring back a lot of nostalgic characters and you're let down by it. They just give you new generic characters that you don't care about and you won't remember. So there's that. All right, guys. I'm going to answer a few more questions, and then we'll wrap up this live show. So I'm going to stick around for a couple more minutes. If you guys have any questions, or if you guys are YouTube members, please get some stuff in right now. I want to hear from you guys. Bruce Cook says, John, instead of Mountain Dew, just drink Jack and Coke. It would make the live feed much more interesting. Yeah, you know, I am a big fan of Jack and Coke, but halfway through this, I don't think it'll be as fulfilling or as entertaining as you hope it will be. I promise you it won't. Or maybe it will. I don't know. Art2D2 says, what 4K player are you using in your home theater? I have a Panasonic 4K Blu-ray player. It's one of the cheaper ones. It's definitely not the most expensive one, but I don't know what model number it is, but it's a Panasonic 4K player. And then I had a Sony 4K, or not Sony. Was it Sony? Maybe I think I have a Samsung 4K player, but it needs an update and I never use it. So that's what I have. But the Panasonic's pretty good. I recommend it. Dustin Rich says, in the past, you basically said that The Guest is a poor man's Drive. I don't know why you compare the two besides having synth music and a white male protagonist. How are they similar? Well, the white male protagonist literally looks like the character from Drive, played by... That's when you know it's getting late in a live stream. I'm going to remember his name. I don't want to cheat. I'm going to remember it. Ryan Gosling. There it is. See, my IMDb processing chip in my brain starts getting slower the longer we talk. But both characters are very stoic, very quiet, have short blonde hair, wear white t-shirts, kick a lot of ass, and are slight sociopaths. They're very similar characters. I don't know how you couldn't make the comparison. The dude in The Guest feels like he could be the cousin of the driver in Drive. I'm not saying the movies themselves are similar. I'm just saying the two characters are sort of similar, and they both do have synth music. So maybe The Guest was somewhat inspired by Drive, and that's completely fine. I'm just saying there are blatant similarities, and to deny that would be to deny reality. And if you deny reality, then what are we even talking about anymore? Or maybe the battery acid from the Mountain Dew is leaching into my brain right now, and that's why I can't remember who Ryan Gosling is. GF Hostman says, John, are chick flicks all the same and cringe? So my wife has gotten me to watch some chick flicks I have never sat down and watched, and I will be honest with you. If you go back to the early 2000s, even some of these chick flick comedies, they're making jokes that people would never make today. And I appreciate some of these things. Like watch 13 Going on 30 with Jennifer Garner. It's not a bad movie. It's kind of entertaining and it's kind of weird at the same time. There's like one scene where Jennifer Garner, who keep in mind, she's like really a 13-year-old girl in this like, body of this 30-year-old woman. And she's having like a sleepover with like a whole bunch of like 12-year-old little girls in her apartment. And if that was the dude version of that, I don't think that would work out very well. But there are jokes and references in that movie that today people would be offended by. You would hear about it on X for weeks. But in that movie, it works. So I appreciate those early 2000s rom-coms. The other one was the, what's the other one I watched? Has Matthew McConaughey in it. Is it 10 Things I Hate About You, or I forget the name of it. Hey, let me find it here. It's How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. Yeah. So I had never seen How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. And my wife made me watch this. And I got to say, I didn't hate the movie. I actually thought it was sort of entertaining. And I think it was better than like most of the rom-coms we get nowadays. And plus, going back to the early 2000s, before everyone got offended by everything in a comedy movie, there's some shit in there to really appreciate. So if ever the time was to watch rom-coms and appreciate them, I think it's now. I probably wouldn't have liked it had I watched it 15, 20 years ago. But now I kind of do. Bruce Cook says, isn't 13 Going on 30 reverse of Tom Hanks' Big? Yeah, they definitely borrowed the concept, completely and utterly borrowed the concept, but sort of an interesting concept nevertheless. Oh, Big is another one of those movies. That movie speaks to me in volumes. When he gets old and he goes to that shitty New York hotel to stay the night and he hears gunshots outside of his window. Oh man, I love it. I love Big. And then you have the lady who wants to hook up with him and she comes to his house and he makes her sleep on a bunk bed. Okay, I get top though. It's great. Sal says, what are your thoughts on the fact that David Coep wrote Jurassic World Rebirth and wrote the original as well as Lost World? Yeah, I thought Alex Garland wrote some of the screenplay or something. Yeah, maybe you're right. He was a screenwriter on it. I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. Or maybe something got lost in translation somewhere, because I think fundamentally the concept of Jurassic World Rebirth is fine. But man, I think the dialogue and the characters are what ruined that movie. And plus, the thing is, when you go to see a Jurassic Park movie, you want to see dinosaur sequences, right? And you want to see these scenes that go on for a handful of minutes, that you get immersed into them. Like, for example, you had the T-Rex scene in the first Jurassic Park. He doesn't just pop out of the gate and go, ah, and it's over. No. But that's what happens in the new movie. But in the original, they build up to it. The cars stop on the tracks. It's raining. And then you see da-dum, 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 and the water ripples. And then it leads into the T-Rex, and you get to unveil. And then he eats the lawyer off the toilet, and the car falls over the side. And it's an entire sequence that's memorable and has a lot of key moments in it that stand out. In the new Jurassic Park movie, there's not really any scenes like that. I hate to break it to you, but there's just not. Like, they might sort of try to do a parody version of what I just said, but it's so condensed and so quick that they don't actually time it in a way where it's suspenseful. It's so abrupt. It's like, rather than get immersed into this 5-minute sequence and put you on the edge of your seat, it's like 30 seconds. Here's this new dinosaur. They run away and they hide, and then it's over. It's like, oh, okay, let's go to the next thing. That's it. So it doesn't really feel like a real movie. And then it abruptly ends. Very unfulfilling. It's very, very unfulfilling. So I cannot wait for everyone to see this movie. I can't. I can't wait. But the thing is, going back, and I've said it 20 times already, I think people are going to be more lenient on this movie because the last one sucked so much. Because the last one had all these contrived subplots that went all these different directions. And I think people are going to be just happy that we're finally back on an island of just dinosaurs. So I think the movie's almost going to get more of a pass because of that. But no one's going to, I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird. I don't know. I think this time next year, no one will ever talk about this movie again. So I wanted to love it. I did. All right. Oh, I had a question in here, and we'll get to it after this. Speaking of Jurassic World, but we'll get to it. Patrick Book says, John, I've been watching you since 2012. I just want to take a chance to give you your flowers and say you're one of the original YouTubers I gravitated towards. Well, thanks, Patrick. Thank you for that, man. I'll be honest with you. The older I get on YouTube, it's the views start going down, and I can only blame myself. I've come, I've gone, I've been inconsistent sometimes. I get it. But that does mean a lot, man. It does. And I've been doing this almost 15 years. This October will be 15 years since I started my YouTube channel. So that does mean a lot, man. It really does. I do like doing this. I do. So when I hear things like that, it does make me feel warm inside. I'm not even being sarcastic with you. I do appreciate that. So thanks, Patrick. Thank you for that. And hey, man, I hope you don't leave anytime soon. Don't you guys leave me. Not ever. So I had a question earlier. And by the way, Patrick, once again, thanks for the question, man. I had a question earlier about Gareth Edwards and Godzilla. And the thing about Gareth Edwards in his movies is he knows how to capture that epic scale and tone of giant reptiles. He does. But the thing that his movies always fail are compelling characters that you want to like and care about when they go on this journey. So that way, when the movie's not showcasing the giant monster, well, you have to look at these characters do things. And if these aren't interesting characters doing shit you care about, or you don't like them, or you don't really get a sense who they are, then you're just bored until the next big CGI monster comes on the screen. And that's what Jurassic World Rebirth feels like. Okay, I thought I heard a noise. Maybe it's a dinosaur. I don't know. Okay, let's go to the next one here. Oh, you guys are killing it with the questions. Okay, I thought Okay, the next one comes from... okay, there we go. All right. Patrick Book says, John, do you have Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man trilogy on 4K? And what's your opinion on the first movie of that trilogy? I don't know if I have... I don't think... I might have the first Spider-Man on 4K. I don't know if I don't think I have the original Spider-Man movies on 4K. I definitely have the Blu-rays. I love the first Spider-Man movie. I know a lot of people think the second movie is the better movie. For me, I like the first movie way more. And it's dated, but in the best way possible. My biggest complaint with the second movie is, if you go back and rewatch it, all of the scenes where Spider-Man loses his powers MJ's like trying to get an acting job. It's like, it's kind of boring. And when it comes to Doc Ock, I hate to say this. I think he's sort of a boring character. I always have. It's like, you're going to go from the Goblin, who has a glider and he looks like a Power Ranger and he's just pure evil. The itsy bitsy spider. Don't tell Harry. You know, you go from that to Doc Ock and he has mechanical tentacles. I never once did I ever think Doc Ock was a fair fight against Spider-Man. Like, he just has mechanical tentacles. That seems so beatable to me. So anyway, I know a lot of people like the second Spider-Man quite a bit. I've always much preferred the first Spider-Man. Now, if you want to talk about Spider-Man 3, by the way, I don't own the 4Ks to answer your question. But Spider-Man 3, I vividly remember that movie as being one of the worst theater experiences of my life. And let me tell you about it very quickly before we move on. The year was 2007. It was the summer season. It was a hot, sultry night when we went to the midnight showing of Spider-Man 3. And keep in mind, it's not like it is today where you can go see the Thursday showing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. No. You had to wait until midnight to watch movies early. So we went to the midnight showing, and of course it's packed. Every seat is filled up. And then behind us, there's this dude who smells like a jockstrap that was left in the gym locker room for years, just obtaining moisture and mold and oozing this aroma that would literally kill a small child if it came within a 10-foot radius. But it gets worse. It gets much, much worse. Not only was the aroma deadly, but this dude, he had no concept of how to shut his fucking mouth when he chewed popcorn. So, for the runtime of Spider-Man 3, and it was a long runtime, nearly 3 hours, this is what we heard. So you have that with the smell of shit for 3 hours. So not only did I have this lackluster, unfulfilling, terrible movie, I had to look at Topher Grace's Venom for 5 minutes, but then I had that shit behind me. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Spider-Man 3. Okay, the next one comes from Claudia Rogajan once again. Are we going to get in a debate about The Guest right now or something? Let's see. Ryan Gosling in Drive as a mysterious getaway driver who brutally kills people. Dan Stevens from The Guest is a brainwashed soldier engineered to carry out his mission in any way possible with no survivors. The only real similarity is the violence. And they both look alike. All right, let's look this up. Let's fucking look it up. We'll prove a point, and if I'm wrong, I will be wrong. The Guest. Let's look at this. I want everyone to see it. Here we go. Okay, there's the guy from The Guest. You guys getting a good looking at it? Blue eyes, some scruff, blonde hair, combed back. Wears a white t-shirt half the movie, maybe a gray t-shirt. So there's The Guest. Kind of there, very quiet, very stoic. Play some synth music. Okay, all right. So then you have Drive movie. Well, gee golly fucking gee whiz, would you look at that? I don't know. I would say there's some visual similarities going on with the way the characters look and how quiet they are. I don't know. Call me crazy, but don't you think it's slightly possible that The Guest took some influence from Ryan Gosling's character in Drive? Just some slight influence. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. There's some similarities there. I'm not saying the movies are the same. They're not the same movie. I'm very aware of that. I'm just saying there are some similarities. Am I crazy? All right. Let's go to the next question here. I don't give a shit. Hey, whatever. They're completely different. I don't give a shit. It's fine. I don't care. I genuinely don't care. I like Drive. The Guest is fine. All right. The next one comes from... okay. The next one comes from... Oh, it comes from The Guest. Yes, John, we are similar characters. I'm just kidding. Patrick Book. How's it going, Patrick? Okay. Patrick says, John. Oh, we already answered that. But once again, thanks, Patrick. Okay, the next question comes from Daniel Martin once again, who says, okay, John, you can only pick one movie. Uh-huh. Okay, John, you can only pick one movie from the 80s to watch. In an apocalypse, Over the Top is off the table. What movie are you choosing? Okay. So it's the apocalypse, and I can only pick one movie to watch over and over again. I think the only answer to this is The Guest. I would probably want to watch something a bit fantastical and fun and adventurous that is a culmination of a whole bunch of different vibes and tones that I want in one movie. What would that movie be? Well, I live in an apocalypse, so I'm going to want sort of a happy-go-lucky outlet. I mean, I don't know. Jurassic Park kind of just came to mind a little bit. Let me think about this. That's a great question, and I'm going to ask you guys that question, and I want you guys to help me out. If you could only watch one movie over and over during the apocalypse, which movie would it be? I want to say Back to the Future, but maybe I'd get burnt out on that. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I really would. I'd have to put some thought in that. But if you guys have one, please let me know. Nova Sonic says Back to the Future or Ghostbusters Back to the Future. Only 80s movies. Sorry, it has to be an 80s movie. I'll tell you one 80s movie that always puts me in a happy place. And when I'm feeling down and out, this is sort of like my therapy that I watch. It's Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I have modeled my life after Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Unintentionally so. But if you really pay close attention to who I am as a person, I think I've taken a lot of influence from that character, because the motto of, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop to look around once in a while, it could pass you by. And that's always stuck with me. So, and plus he skips school to have the ultimate day off. He wants to hang out with friends. And the thing that he does with his friend Cameron, you can tell Cameron is on the verge of like suicidal depression. And I think because of Ferris Bueller, I think he's saved, and ultimately that entire movie, the entire plot of that movie that never gets appreciated as much as it should, because I think it's very nuanced, is I think that was a movie about Ferris Bueller saving Cameron. Ultimately, the whole day revolved around him and bringing him out of his house and getting him off his antipsychotic medications that he was taking in his bed and standing up to his father. It was the ultimate therapy session day. So for me, Ferris Bueller's Day Off just might be that movie. I might go with that. Or Back to the Future. Maybe Back to the Future, because it might just be Can I have all three Back to the Future movies? I know the third one came out in like 1990, but I want all three. Predator would be good too. Dustin Rich says, you look a tiny bit like Ryan Gosling if I squint. You're clearly a Drive ripoff. Oh, I absolutely am. If I bleached my hair blonde, I would be a Drive ripoff. I have the Drive jacket in my closet. You want me to go get it? All right, let's go to the next one here. The next one comes from Daniel Green, who says, hey, John, have you ever watched Zethra? You know what? I don't think I have. I grew up watching it and always thought it was underrated. I always wanted to know what an old geezer like yourself thought. I've never watched Zethra. I've never watched it. I've always wanted to. I've just never got around to it. Yeah, I've never watched it. It was Jon Favreau, right? Came out in 2005. Wasn't that basically like Jumanji, but sort of like the Kmart version of it? I don't know. I never watched it. Strife94 says Princess Bride. We played Princess Bride. We had a rehearsal dinner for our wedding, and I played it on my outdoor projector screen. I played the Princess Bride. It felt appropriate. All right. Let's go to the next one here. All right. Patrick Book says, I've been watching you since I was 12 and I'm 24 now. Man, time flies, but I've been with you on the journey. Don't plan on leaving anytime soon. Well, thanks, Patrick Book. Thank you, man. That means a lot. Yeah, don't you go leaving me now. I'll always be here as long as you stay and watch. So thank you for that once again, Patrick. And thanks to all of you guys who have been watching for years or even right now. It does mean a lot. It really does. I appreciate you guys. I do. And for me, right now, what we're doing now, interacting, going back and forth, and debating about if Ryan Gosling looks like the guy from The Guest, this is the shit I like about YouTube. This is what YouTube should be, and it needs to be. It's about interacting and talking and having a conversation. GF Hostman says, John, have you seen The Disaster Artist? Do you think Tommy Wiseau had no idea the movie would be bad but memorably funny? Yeah, I think Tommy Wiseau just lacks self-awareness to a certain degree. There's a few chemical imbalances in his head, but hey, it's because of that. That's why he's a household name and now is remembered. Even though he made a terrible movie, he made a movie that lives in infamy. And hey, if for nothing else, ultimately he got his fame. He kind of got some fortune. But I do like The Disaster Artist, the movie based on The Room, quite a bit. And I think that was a really good comedy / parody movie. I think it was better than it needed to be. And I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was really well made. Okay, JR says, man, I got to move this camera. JR says, have you ever saw a movie by yourself in a theater? So I was gonna go see Elio Wednesday at an early screening at the theater, but instead I had an early screening of Jurassic Park in Detroit that I had to drive 3.5 hours to. I know. Long way to drive for a movie that you didn't love. But I will say this about the Jurassic Park movie. When I got there, and I do have a Flick Trip video, so look out for it. When I pulled up to the theater, they had the Jurassic Park Explorer and Jurassic Park Jeep, like legit replicas of them parked out front. And that was pretty cool. Like even the interior looked just like it did from Jurassic Park. It had the monitor and the dash. It had everything except for little Timmy laying down in the fetal position in the back seat. But I have been to a theater by myself many of times. Now, typically when I go to screenings, if my wife can't go, I go watch them by myself. But I always see somebody there that I know. But, you know, watching movies is sort of part of my job. So I don't mind going to the theater alone. But what I try not to do is I never go to a theater when it's packed on Friday night by myself, because it does feel a little awkward to sit there by yourself, unless you sit in one of the handicap seats up in the front row, and then you can be by yourself. You know what I mean? And then when I get up, I fake like I have a limp so I can justify sitting in the handicap seat. I know. But I've shared this story before, but the one time I did go to the most memorable experience I have of going to the theater by myself was back in 2011. I think it was December 2011 when The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo came out, the David Fincher version. And it was like a rainy, snowy, bleak, cold night. And the atmosphere was just right for the movie. And I went to the latest showing on Thursday night. I think it was like the 11:30 showing or something. And I got a big bucket of popcorn. I got a large soda. I had a couple bags of candy. And I walk into this auditorium. And it's like the largest auditorium at the theater. And there's not a single person in the theater. And then when the movie starts playing, it was so relaxing, and it was kind of scary too. Like you're in this big dark auditorium by yourself watching sort of a bit morbid dark movie, but it was so immersive, and I will always remember that as one of the coolest theater experiences of all time. So yes, I have been to the theater by myself, but my point is, when I was going to go see Elio by myself, it was at a 1:00 showing in the afternoon. It was a matinee showing. And I did not want to be the only dude in that theater. And it was a very, very small theater. So I didn't want to be, it just felt weird. That's all I'm saying. All right. The next one comes from Night King 01. All right, baby. What do you got for me now, Night King 01? Give it to me now. Why is it always that Drive finds a way into almost every live stream? Because I feel like you bring it up half the time, but we'll keep talking about it. It's either you bring it up or I annoy you to death by begging you to watch the 1978 film, The Driver, which I am currently once again asking if you have seen it yet. Laugh out loud. Night King 01, if I watched the movie The Driver, then what are you and I going to talk about during the live streams? I have to hold off as long as I can. I do want to watch it, man. And let's look it up right now. Where can I watch The Driver at? Does anyone know? Hey, I think The Driver sort of looks like the guy from The Guest too. I'm just saying. Let's actually watch a trailer for it. How about that? So if you guys don't know, The Driver is a late 70s movie that I have been recommended to watch probably 478 times now, that sort of has a Drive vibe to it. So here it is.
Boys, look at that. Just drive around, do whatever they want to do.
Well, holy shit. Let's back up for a second. So if The Guest borrowed from Drive, Drive borrowed from this, thus this is the originator. Okay, so let's get it clear. No, but this does look very much like Drive, the film noir style, even the shot in the rear view mirror here, very Drive. Even the color palette looks very similar. So yeah, it definitely inspired Drive. Oh, someone re-edited this trailer, huh? All right. Yeah, holy shit, that's pretty Drive-ish, isn't it? Looks cool, man. I like the way it looks. Yeah, that is very Drive-like. Yeah, you're right. Okay, I'm gonna check it out. I'll check it out. All right, where should I watch it at, Night King? Let me know. You just let me know in the normal chat, man. All right, Michael Flores says, "Hey John, sorry I'm late. What did I miss? My wife and I just saw Talk to Me, and I was wondering what you think of it and if you saw it. I do have a live stream a couple weeks ago, many weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, that I did see Talk to Me. I liked it. Now, this is from the same creators as... no, are you talking about Talk to Me? Oh, you watched Talk to Me. I'm talking about, oh my God, it's not Talk to Me. Bring Her Back. Bring Her Back. Okay. Yes, I have seen Talk to Me, but I did talk about Bring Her Back weeks ago. Okay, sorry. I liked Talk to Me. I didn't love it. I think the concept was kind of cool. I And I get that it had a very limited budget. I was kind of hoping they would do a little more with it. I almost feel like they could do another Talk to Me sequel and do way more with the concept. Yeah, I liked it. I also liked Bring Her Back as well. I wouldn't say either of the movies have a lot of rewatchability, but ultimately I kind of feel like they exist in the same universe because the same sort of rules of the spiritual resurrection sort of vibe exist in both movies. So I feel like they're in a shared universe. So I have seen it. I thought it was a good movie. But it's not one of my favorite horror movies. The next one comes from Dustin Rich says, when you're done watching The Driver, remember to watch The Neon Demon. I know, man. I will never get caught up. I will never get caught up. It's on the to-do list. Michael Flores says, hey, John, sorry I'm late. What did I miss? My wife... Oh, we already answered that. Sorry. You missed a lot, though. So just scroll back. You'll get it all. Night King 01 says, someone uploaded it on YouTube for free. The only way is to use a VPN and watch it on streaming services in another country. Does it look good on YouTube? I have a weird thing about watching movies on YouTube. They just look kind of shitty. YouTube compresses stuff too much. I hate the way it looks. So if I'm going to watch it, if I'm going to take the time and watch it, I want the 4K resolution version of it. So now I need to find a physical copy. All right, guys. I want to say thanks for all the questions tonight. Thanks for hanging out. It's been a blast. I'm sorry I disliked Jurassic World Rebirth so much, but hey, I hope you guys watch the movie next week, and I hope you love it. So look out for some new videos. I have a couple new Flick trips on the way. I will have a review of 28 days or 28 weeks later or 28 years later. That's when you know it's getting late coming. And then I will have a review of F1, and I will have a review of Jurassic World Rebirth when the embargo lifts. Because all I've shared with you are my first reactions, not actually my rating or my review. So look out for that. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the great questions. It does mean a lot. Have a great Friday night, and I'll see you guys next week with a brand new live show. And by the way, once again, if you missed the brand new movie night on the Flickpick channel, I am doing a giveaway for a projector in that video. So check it out. Leave a comment if you want to. And Night King 01 has one last comment. There is a 4K of it on Amazon. Well, make it my birthday present. I'll look into it. How much is it? I'll check it out. I'll see if I can get my hands on it or find somewhere in the recesses of the internet to download it and watch it. As always, guys, thanks for the questions and thanks for the recommendation. Once again, Night King 01. Stay safe. Have a good night, guys, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.